A narrator reflects with nostalgia, missing the days of the past. He recalls the arduous journey to Tianzu to find the Buddhist scriptures. A powerful monkey-like warrior with blonde hair is shown in a fierce battle. The chaos of the journey is shown in a blur of combat and movement. A young master with a golden crown weeps in terror as skeletal warriors close in. The master is identified as the crybaby who spoke the right things, Sanzang. A noble white horse with glowing eyes stands amidst the turmoil. A determined, pig-faced companion joins the fight. A stoic, white-haired warrior stands ready for battle. The blonde, monkey-like warrior grins with sharp teeth, relishing the fight. The full group, Sanzang, the blonde warrior, the pigman, and the white-haired man, travel together across a vast desert. During a quiet moment, the companions rest by a campfire under a beautiful night sky. Sanzang tells the blonde warrior that their meeting was a fate arranged by Buddha. He advises the warrior not to carry the burdens of the world all by himself. Sanzang clasps his hand, reminding him they are masters and friends to each other. He finishes his heartfelt speech, affirming they are companions on the same path. The blonde warrior dismisses his master's words as nonsense. In a fond memory, Sanzang playfully demands to be called master, but the warrior stubbornly refuses. The scene shifts to a serene and majestic heavenly realm floating in the clouds. The blonde warrior is formally introduced as the great sage, equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong angrily confronts a divine being, demanding an explanation. The divine being, a bodhisattva, appears before him with a serene expression. The bodhisattva reveals that the last trace of Sanzang's soul has been located in the human world. She specifies the soul is in the Namgung Clan, and Sun Wukong reacts with shock and disgust at the idea of going there. He furiously refuses the mission and tells her to find someone else. When Sun Wukong claims it's too dangerous, the bodhisattva mockingly calls him a liar for all of heaven to hear. Wow. She explains that with the monsters and great saints gone, the lower realm holds no threat to the heavens. The bodhisattva reveals the new unexpected threat: humans. Sun Wukong is left utterly baffled by her statement. He furiously questions if she has lost her mind after he served Buddha for thousands of years. The bodhisattva pauses, then calmly remarks that the world has changed a lot. She reminds him that Buddha's law strips most of heaven's power from those who descend to the lower world. With a sly look, she asks Sun Wukong if he isn't different from the others. As Sun Wukong ignites with red power, she asks who could possibly stand in his way. Sun Wukong laughs maniacally, questioning if she still sees him as the same weak monkey from the past. He defiantly roars that he will never be leashed again, unleashing a torrent of fiery energy. He attacks, sending a massive blast of power toward the bodhisattva. He flies through the air, engulfed in the red flames of his own power. The bodhisattva calmly taunts him, asking if he will run away again. She reminds him that no matter what he tries to do, Sun Wukong cries out in frustration as he struggles against an unseen force. He is and always will be within the Buddha's palm as a giant hand materializes to trap him. The massive, glowing hand closes around Sun Wukong, completely overpowering him. By the decree of the Buddha, the bodhisattva begins to issue a command. She orders the struggling Sun Wukong, the great sage, equal to heaven. Okay, here is the text you provided to go to the martial world. Suddenly, Sun Wukong finds himself bound in a cell with two other men, lamenting their capture. As his new companions regret their actions, Sun Wukong realizes it's too late for regrets. He senses a strange energy from their captors as his cellmates notice he's finally opened his eyes. In utter shock, Sun Wukong realizes he has truly been cast down into the lower world. Damn it. Sun Wukong glares at his bindings, annoyed by his imprisonment. Realizing he has no choice, he resolves to fulfill the bodhisattva's request to find Sanzang's soul and return. He shatters the wooden cell door, leaving his new companions to stare in awe, calling him a monster. With a mighty effort, Sun Wukong bends the thick iron bars of the main gate. Hayek! His cellmates shriek in terror, astounded that he broke the iron bars in a single motion. Suddenly, Sun Wukong turns, sensing a strange, faint red energy. He stands defiantly outside the broken gate, his former cellmates stunned into silence behind him. As the bearded man looks on in confusion, Sun Wukong realizes they must be guides sent by the bodhisattva. He smirks, telling the two men he'll lead them out, believing the bodhisattva arranged this meeting to help him find Sanzang. Overjoyed and relieved, the two men gratefully thank the great warrior. A guard suddenly confronts the trio, angrily demanding to know who they are and how they escaped. Sun Wukong calmly asks the guard to step aside, but the guard furiously insults him as a foreigner and threatens him. Hearing the insult mixed blood, Sun Wukong's expression hardens with cold fury. In a flash, he rushes past the guard, sending him flying with a single powerful blow. The guard crashes violently into a nearby structure, shattering it on impact. From above, the lone guard is seen hurtling through the air as a crowd gathers below. The assembled guards stare in disbelief at the impossible sight, wondering what just happened. His companions are speechless, and the bearded man advises his friend to just keep quiet and follow their powerful rescuer. Sun Wukong asks the bearded man if he knows the location of Namgung Clan, and the man nervously confirms he does. The man explains that Namgung Clan is famously known as the greatest sword clan in the world. With a confident smirk, Sun Wukong commands the terrified man to lead the way. Threatened by Sun Wukong's glare, the man nervously agrees, vowing to escort him properly. Their escape is blocked by a large group of warriors, whose leader shouts at the escaped prisoners. Sun Wukong casually points and asks the man if he is the leader of this place. The leader proudly identifies himself as the master of the Xiuhua clan, Li Sangyep, the fierce wolf of Hubei. Sun Wukong declares his terms. He's taking the two men, and in return, they will all forget he was ever there. Li Sangyep scoffs at his audacity, mocking him for acting like the Jade Emperor and demanding to know who he is. Grinning, Sun Wukong decides to indulge him, dramatically asking the crowd to guess who he is. He begins his legendary introduction, declaring himself a stone monkey created by the sky and molded by the earth. His two companions excitedly chime in, adding the titles of the handsome Monkey King and the golden-furred Monkey Lord. The clan leader mockingly continues the tale, sarcastically calling him the ruler of heavens and the greatest sage. With a final, triumphant flourish, he reveals his true name, Sun Wukong. His companions are utterly bewildered, questioning the meaning of great sage equal to heaven. Sun Wukong closes his eyes, smugly enjoying his grand reintroduction to the world. The guards and their leader erupt in derisive laughter, finding his claims ridiculous. The laughter stops as Sun Wukong opens his eyes, his expression now deadly serious. Calling him insane, the furious clan leader orders his men to attack the lunatic. A guard threatens Sun Wukong with a blade, but freezes when he sees the cold fury in the warrior's glowing eyes. In an instant, Sun Wukong moves through the guards in a blur of motion. An explosive force sends the guards flying in all directions, their bodies tossed aside like dolls. The two freed prisoners can only stare in open-mouthed horror and disbelief at the overwhelming display of power. The clan leader is stunned, unable to even comprehend how Sun Wukong moved so fast. Enraged, Li Sangyep orders his men to kill the filthy-haired bastard without hesitation. The remaining warriors roar and charge forward in a unified assault. Sun Wukong cracks his knuckles, calmly informing the charging warriors that they have all made a huge mistake. He declares that while insults to his parents are tolerable, being called mongrel and filthy-haired bastard is not. One of the warriors leaps forward, unleashing a powerful attack with a glowing blue sword. The arc of blue energy slashes through the air, aimed directly at Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong's eye flashes with golden light as he watches the attack approach, completely unfazed. In a blur of fluid motion, Sun Wukong effortlessly weaves through the mob, neutralizing his attackers. Sun Wukong becomes a spinning cyclone of destructive force, effortlessly tearing through the guards. As he fights, he notices something amiss, sensing a strange aura emanating from his opponents. He realizes with confusion that the human warriors are suddenly growing faster and stronger. Unconcerned, Sun Wukong sends a guard reeling with a powerful sidekick. He follows with a devastating axe kick, slamming another warrior into the ground with explosive force. He pauses, now understanding the source of the strange aura he felt. He deduces that it's the remnants of demonic energy left in the mortal realm, which has been purified over time. He concludes that humans unknowingly absorbed this refined energy, cultivating it into their own power. Back in the fray, he unleashes another crushing kick on an unsuspecting guard. The remaining guards stare in wide-eyed terror at his overwhelming speed and power. In a final, explosive burst, he sends the last of the guards flying, ending the battle. Amused, Sun Wukong smirks at the interesting tricks these humans have developed. Lee Sang-yeop stares in horror, his forces completely wiped out. Sun Wukong brutally pummels the clan leader, his fists a blur of motion. The barrage continues, smashing the clan leader's face bloody. Sun Wukong scoffs, declaring their so-called skills are nothing more than child's play to him. His two companions can only stare in speechless, horrified awe. Standing amidst the fallen, the narration confirms Sun Wukong's incredible, overwhelming strength. He walks away from the scene of devastation, leaving the entire Seokwa clan defeated. Sun Wukong casually picks up a pouch from a fallen warrior, while his companions marvel that he's an even more natural thief than they are. He examines a small, blue, rectangular item he found, sensing something unusual about it. The beaten Lee Sang-yeop screams furiously for Sun Wukong to put the item down, threatening him. Sun Wukong taunts the fallen leader, asking if he even knows what he was carrying. With his eyes wide in terror, Lee Sang-yeop desperately asks where Sun Wukong got the item. As a fearsome demonic aura manifests behind him, Sun Wukong listens. As the leader admits he only heard there was a bounty on it. Sun Wukong presses for details, learning that a fortune was offered and asking who posted the bounty and where to meet them. The leader reveals the meeting is at Yongwon Inn, and the wanted man is Sahil Cheolgui. His companions react in shock to the name, explaining that Sahil Cheolgui is a vile murderer who has killed dozens. The bearded man adds that the man even killed a member of the Namgung Clan and has evaded capture ever since. Sun Wukong stares at the object, a new plan forming in his mind. He decides they'll head to Yongwon Inn, confusing his companions who thought they were going to the Namgung Clan. Sun Wukong explains that capturing a wanted criminal first will ensure a much warmer welcome from the Namgung Clan. He grandly declares that, as the great sage, he cannot stand by while humans suffer and evildoers run free. The bearded man rolls his eyes, muttering, "Sun Wukong, my ass." As Sun Wukong confidently leads the way, his companion concedes that he's just an insanely strong madman. The trio enters a bustling town, drawing murmurs and stares from the crowd. The townsfolk stare openly, surprised by their appearance. His companion complains about the stares, but the bearded man says he'd stare too if he saw a foreigner like Wukong walking around. Sun Wukong surveys the crowd, remarking how human numbers have grown since the yokai disappeared. They make their way through the busy streets of the town. At an inn, a waiter approaches their table to take their order. Sun Wukong brushes off the menu, instead asking if the waiter has seen anyone strange, alone, or with an odd atmosphere. He narrows his eyes, clarifying that he's looking for someone who seems tough. Terrified by his intensity, the waiter listens as Sun Wukong gives him a message to deliver to their target. The bearded man orders food and pays the nervous waiter, who hurries off. A feast of food and drink is brought to their table. Sun Wukong leans back to savor a drink, then leans forward to eat, anticipating the confrontation. As he sips his drink, he reflects that this series of events feels like fate. He connects the dots. Samjang's soul disappeared, a heavenly artifact appeared, and now humans are searching for it here. He realizes that if he tracks down the artifact's origin, he might finally find a clue to Samjang's lost soul. Sun Wukong calmly asks the restless crowd in the inn if they are afraid. The bearded man explains the terrifying rumors about Sahil Cheolgui, saying over 10 Murim masters have died trying to capture him. Declared a public enemy 5 years ago, the silhouetted figure has never been caught. He is shown to be a ruthless killer, having slain dozens of civilians and 5 beggars from Gaebang. Sun Wukong scoffs at the stories, suggesting only weaklings were sent after the killer, and asks if anyone has actually seen him. As the bearded man looks on in shock, Sun Wukong's expression turns serious. A long-haired man in a dark cloak appears, boasting that fools who rushed him ended up dead. The man, Sahil Cheolgui, stands menacingly over Sun Wukong, who continues to sip his drink, unfazed. A close-up reveals the cold, sinister face of Sahil Cheolgui. Wukong remarks that humans have some amusing tricks, as his companions stare in terror. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Sun Wukong begins to declare that before him, the great sage, his opponent's skills are nothing more than child's play. Sahil Cheolgui stands before Sun Wukong in the now tense inn. The man correctly deduces that Sun Wukong is not from the Seokwa clan. Sun Wukong smirks condescendingly, asking if his origins even matter. When Sahil Chiogui demands the sword fragment, Wukong confirms he has it but casually invites the impatient man for a drink first. A flashback reveals that Wukong and the swordsman were evil enemies in a past life. Sun Wukong calmly examines the small blue rectangular item. Sahil Chiogui reacts with shock as Wukong taunts him, realizing he is also working for someone and doesn't know the item's true nature. Grinning with sharp teeth, Sun Wukong demands to know who his opponent works for, telling him to stop frowning. Wukong calls him a small fry whose face gives him away. Enraging Sahil Chiogui, whoosh, Sahil Chiogui lunges across the room in a furious attack. The inn patrons and Wukong's companions scream in terror as the fight begins. As the patrons flee in a panic, a voice yells, "Fight!" and urges everyone to escape. Sun Wukong sighs, complaining that people who don't know their place always pull out swords instead of talking. Sahil Chiogui attacks with a glowing blue sword. The two warriors clash violently in midair. The two companions stare in disbelief, shouting that he's fighting a swordsman with his bare hands. The other companion realizes with a shock that Sun Wukong is using the small blue item to fight. In a flash of movement, Sun Wukong expertly uses the rectangular fragment to parry the glowing sword. Sahil Chiogui is baffled, realizing Wukong is fighting without any discernible form or technique. Frustrated, he finds that none of his attacks are working against his opponent. He concludes that Wukong is just toying with him, and there's no way to win this way. Desperate, he decides to gather all his inner power for one final, all-out strike. Surrounded by a brilliant aura, Sun Wukong smiles, stating that he now knows who his opponent is. Sahil Chiogui rushes forward, unleashing his ultimate attack. Wukong identifies him as the snake from Seven Joints Mountain as a massive spectral snake appears behind the terrified warrior. Sun Wukong effortlessly catches the glowing sword blade with his bare hand. The impact creates a massive explosion of golden energy. Sahil Chiogui stares in horror, utterly stunned that Wukong caught his attack without even dodging. Unimpressed, Wukong says he expected a grand karmic destiny but found nothing special, having just played along to test him. He brutally twists his opponent's arm and smashes his face. Ugh! The swordsman cries out as blood erupts from his face. Sun Wukong lands another cold, merciless punch. He sends the man flying backwards with a powerful kick. Crash. The defeated warrior slams into the floorboards, shattering them on impact. Wukong stands over him, mockingly advising him to pray to Buddha since he himself is a Buddha. He declares himself too compassionate to kill a creature begging for its life, while looking down at the beaten, bloody man. His companions are stunned, realizing he just defeated the legendary Snakeblood Iron Ghost who evaded the Murim alliance for years. As his defeated opponent weakly mutters about Buddha, Sun Wukong begins brutally stomping on his head. So much for compassion. Wukong relentlessly stomps on his defeated opponent's bloody face. With one final, powerful kick, he sends the broken Sahil Chiogui flying. Wukong calmly walks away, scolding the motionless body for its lack of endurance and telling it to reflect on its evil deeds before reincarnation. Grabbing the man's head, Wukong asks if he planned to continue killing in his next life, reminding him that he was told to pray. As Wukong looms over him, an onlooker fears the man is about to be killed. With a crazed grin, the beaten Sahil Chiogui puts his hands together and weakly prays to the Guanyin Bodhisattva. Boom! Sun Wukong unleashes a massive, fiery explosion, seemingly finishing off his opponent. His eyes glowing, Wukong clenches his fist, remarking that this is a disappointing outcome after all this time. As Wukong walks from the smoldering crater, his companions note that Sahil Chiogui was rotten to the core for not begging for mercy. Wukong complains he needs a drink, while his companions question his foe's final prayer. On the ground, the defeated man sees an opening. Foosh! A burst of flame erupts where Sahil Chogwi's body lay. The bearded man shouts in alarm, pointing out to a surprised Wukong that their opponent has vanished. Wukong smirks, twirling a single strand of hair, and remarks that his tough-talking opponent seems to have finally come to his senses. Chuckling that the man wasn't as stupid as he seemed, Wukong blows the hair from his palm, saying he made a clever escape. Sun Wukong cheerfully puts his arms around his confused companions, suggesting they find a new place to eat instead of chasing their foe. Elsewhere, the escaped Sahil Chiogui is ferried across a misty river, thinking his lord will be impressed with his return. As a mosquito buzzes nearby, he reflects on Wukong's incredible power, convinced they can defeat him if they attack together. On the Misty River, Sahyo Cholgui vows revenge on the Dungwater head. Standing on a dock with his companions, Sun Wukong scratches his head, complaining that it's itchy. Wukong reveals the blue fragment, explaining he let the man go on purpose because he's after this item, which his companion dismisses as scrap metal. Wukong explains his plan. Since the man was ordered to retrieve the item, he'll lead them directly to his shadowy superiors. His companion asks how he can be sure Sahyo Cholgui won't escape by boat, but Wukong simply says he's following what he sees. Repeating his earlier trick, Wukong blows a hair from his hand and cryptically states that there is always a way. Wukong explains that even though he's lost most of his heavenly power, he can still use a little hair magic. He reveals that his hair, transformed into mosquitoes, is now secretly following the snake blood iron ghost. Sun Wukong strikes a heroic pose, once again declaring himself the great sage equal to heaven, as his companion sighs in exasperation. Wukong senses his companion's disbelief and warns the man that he might soon figure out who he was in a past life. The bearded man breaks into a cold sweat, terrified by the implications of Wukong's threat. Sun Wukong gives a calm, knowing smile. The bearded man urges him to hurry, reminding him that since Sahyo Cholgui is a public enemy, others will be pursuing him as well. With unshakable confidence, Sun Wukong declares that no one will be able to interfere with his plans. The scene transitions to a sweeping view of a vast mountain range under a clear blue sky. They arrive at the magnificent, sprawling estate of the Namgung Clan, heralded as the world's greatest sword family. Narration explains the Namgung Clan's revered status as the head of the 5 great clans and the pinnacle of the martial arts world. However, their reputation is tarnished by their cruelty in battle, leaving behind massacres that scarred the common folk. The people came to fear the Namgung Clan, whose elders are silhouetted against their imposing fortress. Inside, a woman with purple hair sits combing it, resolving that the Namgung Clan must change. The woman is revealed to be Manhwa, the Namgung Clan's law hall master. Manhwa believes they must learn kindness and mercy, like the Wudang and Shaolin sects, rather than just swinging their swords recklessly. She sighs in frustration, knowing the current clan leader sees such compassion as mere pretense. With a determined look, she notes that an important event is scheduled for 1 month from now. That event, a meeting, will be held here at the Namgung Clan estate. Tying her hair back, Manhwa thinks that before the Dragon Phoenix meeting begins, the Namgung Clan must demonstrate that it has truly changed, and she sets off down a long corridor. Now in her uniform, Manhwa strides purposefully through the halls of the clan estate. An attendant rushes to her, announcing that the clan leader is urgently summoning all the hallmasters. Manhwa is surprised, wondering what could be so urgent as to require all the hallmasters. That night, the clan leaders assemble before a great hall filled with warriors. A stern man with a prominent mustache, the clan leader, surveys the gathering. The Namgung Clan leader addresses the assembly, announcing he has called them due to urgent news from the intelligence hall. The Namgung Clan leader announces to the assembly that the notorious snake blood iron ghost has appeared in Anhui province. He reminds the clan elders of their past heroism, questioning if they have forgotten their duty to stand against evil. He rallies the clan members by reminding them that they fight to protect the innocent: fathers, sons, mothers, and daughters. With renewed purpose, he declares that the killer of their own family members has now resurfaced. The clan leader proclaims that he and the elders will lead the hunt, telling the warriors to check their assigned tasks on their bamboo slips. He issues his orders: find Snake Blood Iron Ghost in their assigned areas and capture him at all costs. The Namgung Clan leader glares down at the assembly, demanding to know if they understand. From the courtyard below, the clan members answer with a resounding, "Yes, sir." Led by their determined leader, the full might of the Namgung Clan mobilizes for the hunt. Watching them depart, Manhwa sees this as a golden opportunity for the clan. She believes that capturing the fugitive will not only redeem their reputation, but also solidify their authority for the upcoming Dragon Phoenix meeting. The highest echelons of the Namgung Clan race forward to join the hunt. As the clan advances, Sun Wukong stands with a smirk while narration asks who could possibly stop them. On a foggy river, one of Sahyo Cholgui's men waits nervously in a boat. 2 warriors approach in another boat as one of Sun Wukong's mosquito spies buzzes nearby. The 2 pursuers are identified as Namgung Jeok and Namgung Seon of the Namgung Clan. Namgung Seon excitedly reports they found their target and suggests signaling the clan, but Namgung Jeok decides to capture him first to prevent his escape. He recalls that the Law Hall Master wants the fugitive captured alive to be handed over for trial. However, he gives his subordinate permission to kill their target if he puts up a fight. As the Namgung clansmen confidently approach, their target subordinate is startled by their presence. The subordinate panics, shouting that their boat is taking on water. Realizing he spoke too loudly, he looks up to see that Sahil Kyolgui has heard him. Sahil Kyolgui recognizes the blue scabbard of the Namgung clan and wonders in alarm how they were found. Panicked, Namgung Seon yells that Snakeblood Iron Ghost has spotted them and is trying to get away. Namgung Jeok analyzes the situation, deducing the hole was made with inner power and that their target has subordinates with him. He remains confident, stating that even if the main target flees, the clan's encirclement will catch him. He shifts focus, deciding they must capture the subordinates at all costs. Declaring this is how he'll atone for his mistake, he leaps toward the other boat. Annoyed, Sahil Kyolgui laments shaking off Wukong only to immediately run into the Namgung clan. He shudders, recalling the terrifying rumors of the Namgung clan leader's maniacal cruelty. He braces himself, ready for the impending fight. Suddenly, his eyes widen in complete shock at something he sees. Gulp. One of the subordinates is held at sword point, as Namgung Seon demands to know where his master is headed. The captured subordinate, wounded and terrified, struggles to speak. The two Namgung clansmen suddenly sense a powerful presence emerging from beneath the water. Boom! An explosion from below obliterates their boat, sending them flying. They land in the water, stunned by the surprise attack. As a spectral figure attacks his brother, the bearded subordinate screams his name in horror. The bearded subordinate angrily scolds his wounded brother for following him and getting hurt. He desperately applies pressure to the wound, telling his brother to stay still, his eyes glowing with rage. The bearded subordinate glares at their attackers. Standing on a piece of wreckage, Namgung Seon readies his glowing sword for battle. He scans the water, noting with surprise that their new enemy has vanished without a trace. Namgung Jeok acknowledges their foe's skill in water and suggests they wait for him to surface for air. A brief explanation states that inner power is fueled by breathing, meaning no martial artist can stay submerged forever. The two warriors wait patiently on the water's surface, confident their opponent must eventually come up for air. The bearded subordinate bursts from the water, seething with rage over his friend's torn shoulder. He glares furiously at the Namgung clansmen, blaming them entirely for his companion's injury. The scene cuts to Sun Wukong's bearded companion, who thinks about how the thick fog should have prevented anyone from sailing. He recalls thinking Wukong was crazy for trying to find a boat, but now realizes he's actually going to succeed. Wukong smirks, noting an unexpected boat in the distance as his older companion reacts with surprise. The companion praises Wukong's sharp eyesight, acknowledging his mastery, and wonders if the boat belongs to the Martial Arts Alliance. Wukong dismisses the idea, reasoning that the alliance would travel in a much larger group. The young boy spots two people with blue and white scabbards, identifying them as members of the Namgung clan, a fact Wukong seems to already know. Wukong muses that fate draws people together, recalling the Namgung clan also has a grudge against the Snakeblood Iron Ghost. When his companion suggests helping the Namgung members, Wukong simply orders him to go put a hole in their boat, leaving the man stunned. The flustered companion questions why he should attack the boat of his enemy's enemy. Wukong reassures him he'll clear up any misunderstanding later, cheekily dismissing the risk of the Namgung clan killing him. A sinister aura envelops Wukong as he cracks his knuckles with a menacing grin. With a serpentine eye and a fanged smile, Wukong whispers a single word, "Snake?" The white-robed elder, the snake, suddenly appears behind the companion, asking why he left without saying goodbye. Wukong looks on with a wry smile, unbothered by the snake's hurt feelings about their insignificant relationship. Wap the snake violently smacks the terrified companion across the face. Taking the man hostage, the snake warns the warriors on the other boat to get lost or see their man die. Wukong coolly observes the despicable hostage situation, acknowledging the snake is an absolute master he can't handle. The snake presses his blade to the hostage's neck, demanding no one move or he'll slice it off. Crying hysterically, the terrified older companion begs to be saved. Wukong shocks everyone by coldly asking why he should care if the old man dies, calling it his fate. He callously explains the man's death is probably already written in the underworld's book of life and death. That's fate, Wukong declares, stating it's an inescapable destiny, leaving the snake completely stunned by his indifference. The snake is baffled, realizing his hostage tactic failed because he'd mistakenly assumed Wukong was a righteous pursuer. He begins to question if Wukong is even from a righteous sect at all. Wukong reveals he never liked the Book of Life and Death, then suddenly kicks the boat with explosive force. Gasp! Crash! The boat shatters, sending the snake and his hostage plunging into the churning, bloody water. Splash! As they hit the water, Wukong and the young boy calmly watch from the remaining half of the boat. The dazed snake surfaces, clutching his head. As Wukong explains, he once erased all the names from the book because predestination is unfair. Addressing the terrified older companion, Wukong offers to rewrite his entry in the Book of Life and Death. He proposes a new fate of a long life and peaceful death, asking the man if he likes the sound of it. Two warriors from the Namgung Clan glide through the water, closing in on their targets. Ojong watches intently, knowing that to use inner energy, one needs to breathe, and he plans to strike the moment they surface. A figure bursts from the water, and Ojong readies himself, shouting, "They're here!" The man, Namgung Clan, creates a diversion in the water, preparing a feint attack from behind. Ojong scoffs, seeing through the amateurish skill. He is shocked to discover it was a double feint, as a monstrous hulking figure with glowing eyes emerges right behind him. The figure grabs Ojong from behind, silencing him underwater as Ojong wonders how it's possible. From a distance, the other Namgung warrior shouts for Namgung Clan. He frantically searches the churning waters, desperately calling out Sion's name. The defeated snake kneels on the boat, spitting up a mouthful of blood at Wukong's feet. In shock, the snake realizes Wukong didn't just slice him, he actually severed his arm. He marvels that Wukong managed to sever his arm from a distance with his bare hands. Wukong looks down at his own hand, now dripping with the snake's blood. He clenches his blood-soaked fingers with a grim and serious expression. A flashback shows a celestial being, telling Wukong his duty is to guide fools to the right path. The memory continues, showing Buddha bestowing great power upon him. He was granted the divine title of Fighting and Victorious Buddha. Back in the present, Wukong calmly walks past the fallen snake, declaring it's his duty to correct fools. Pow! He strikes the snake with a powerful blow, declaring his refusal to follow the old ways. A vision of Buddha appears, reminding him that the Buddhist precepts forbid killing. Defying the vision, Wukong glares with killing intent as he chokes the life out of the struggling snake. The nearby warriors react in horror, identifying Wukong's victim as the vile, blood-drawing ghost, while the rescued companion begs for his life. The bearded subordinate screams in agony as a sword is held to his throat. In a flashback, a voice states that it has been a long time since he last felt such a strong urge to kill, as a glowing, demonic eye glares intensely. With his eyes blazing, Sun Wukong declares that he will now do as he pleases. He calmly walks past the subordinate's terrified, wounded brother, leaving bloody footprints behind. Now on the wreckage, Wukong stands over a defeated foe he's just dispatched, with the two subordinates looking on. A vision of a serene Buddha reminds him that Buddhist precepts forbid killing. Enraged, Wukong clenches his fist, angrily dismissing the teaching as nonsense. Towering over his victim, he proclaims he is not the fighting Buddha, but the great sage, Sun Wukong, who once overturned the celestial realm. His eyes glow with immense, unrestrained power. A spectral form of Wukong explains that souls who commit evil deeds are either sent to hell or trapped in an endless cycle of reincarnation. He elaborates that they may live as insignificant creatures, perhaps even as insects. Their fate is decided in an afterlife trial, with a chance of redemption and rebirth as a human. He points to the fallen man, showing what happens when a wicked monster is reincarnated as a human. Instead of atoning, the man simply continues to corrupt and taint the world. Declaring the soul unworthy of even hell, Wukong invokes his divine authority as heaven's great sage. With a final command, he orders the wicked soul to disappear. The soul dissolves into nothingness. The spectral Wukong watches as the last traces of the soul vanish. His spiritual presence fades, leaving the terrified, wounded man alone on the wreckage. Wukong internally reflects that, in the past, others would have tried to stop him from delivering such judgment. He recalls the so-called messengers of the underworld, depicted as grim, ethereal judges. He turns to face the two spectral figures. He tells the messengers to inform their superior, King Yama, that Sun Wukong has dealt with the serpent. Glaring, Wukong demands the messengers leave at once if they have no other business. The two spectral messengers quickly flee from his overwhelming presence. Back in the mortal world, the effort takes its toll as Wukong coughs up blood. A vision of the Tathagat explains that the worlds were strictly divided for a reason. When a celestial being descends to the mortal realm, most of their divine power is lost. Wukong grimaces, acknowledging the painful restraints on his power and how long it's been since he felt so weakened. He stands alone on the wreckage, looking out over the misty water. Namgung Clan rushes to his companion's side, calling out, "Seon, are you all right?" after a sudden attack. Surfacing from the water, Namgung Clan warns that their strange opponent moves too freely underwater. Namgung Clan realizes with alarm that their foe fights like an aquatic being. He reasons that even a martial arts master cannot fight at full strength while struggling for air underwater. Realizing their disadvantage, the two Namgung clansmen stand ready, knowing this won't be an easy fight. Wukong interrupts the tense standoff, standing over the dead body and calmly suggesting they all stop fighting. He crosses his arms, waiting for a response while standing over his defeated foe. Namgung Clan cautiously asks who Wukong is, then identifies the dead man as the blood-drawing ghost. Wukong confirms the man's grudge against the ghost, then asks if Namgung Clan was the one who killed him. From the water, Namgung Clan clarifies that they also have a grudge against the blood-drawing ghost and mistakenly thought Wukong was his ally. Namgung Clan asks if Wukong is allied with the man in the water. Wukong replies that they are like brothers and tells the bearded subordinate to stop fighting. The bearded subordinate glares from the water as his unconscious brother lies on the wreckage nearby. Namgung Clan looks from Wukong to the corpse of the blood-drawing ghost, processing the situation. Realizing Wukong eliminated the formidable foe without them even noticing, he warns that he is no ordinary being and invites the bearded subordinate to come up. The bearded subordinate furiously refuses, blaming the Namgung clan for his brother's injuries and telling Wukong to stay out of it. Wukong tells him not to worry, promising to take full responsibility and ensure his friend recovers completely. The subordinate still refuses, claiming he can't face his brother if he backs down now, as Wukong scoffs at a bandit's talk of loyalty. The subordinate yells out to his brother, asking if he's just gonna watch as the scene shifts to Wukong's companions. A pig-like man steps forward, introducing himself as Zhu Baji, former Grand Marshal of the Heavenly River Navy, and unlike his brother, the Pilgrim Monkey King. Sun Wukong argues that he used to shovel horse dung, but his companion cuts him off, crediting Baji for their success. A voiceover praises the help of a powerful blue-skinned warrior, the monster of Liushao River. The fierce, blue-skinned warrior glares forward with piercing eyes. Wukong looks down, identifying the warrior from the water below as Wu Jing. The bearded subordinate stares up from the water in total disbelief. As the bearded subordinate looks up in confusion, Wukong offers a gentle, knowing smile. Now on the boat, the bearded man asks how Wukong knows his old Shaolin name. Wukong simply replies that he knows because the man fights well in water. Wukong stands over him, cryptically explaining that he has known him since his past life. Extending a hand, Wukong helps the man from the water, telling him to hurry up. The newly rescued warrior stares in bewilderment, dismissing Wukong's words as nonsense. A flashback shows the legendary pilgrims, a monk, a monkey, a pig, and a blue warrior, on their journey as the warrior reflects in the present. Wukong playfully pinches Zhu Baji's cheeks, calling him his cherished brother and reminding him to treat the bird properly. The group's boat speeds across the water, leaving a shimmering wake. Their journey continues, with the body of the defeated blood-drawing ghost lying on the boat's deck. Wukong teases Zhu Baji, telling the good swimmer to just get off the boat, asking if he's some kind of fish, and saying he looks like one. Zhu Baji indignantly protests, boasting that as a Shaolin disciple, he was so popular with women he almost broke his vows. Wukong scoffs at the claim, asking why women would like him, and warning that he'll go to hell for lying so much. As the man insists he isn't lying, the Namgung clansmen judge him to be mentally sick and in need of a pharmacy. Sun Wukong looks on with a calm, pensive expression. Wukong asks one of the Namgung clansmen if he got a good look since he was staring so intensely, and asks if he's figured anything out. As the clansman stammers, Wukong smirks and makes it clear that he is not their enemy. The clansman apologizes, explaining their clan's many enemies make them cautious, which Wukong accepts with mock generosity. The clansman hopes to move past the misunderstanding, but Wukong cheekily reminds him that he was the one who ordered the attack. Declaring his admiration for the Namgung Clan, Wukong asks if he and his companions might visit their estate. Namgung Seon warns his brother to be cautious about letting in a stranger, even one who killed their enemy. Wukong turns, asking if they doubt his identity. Startled that he was overheard, the clansman admits he's never heard of anyone like Wukong before. Wukong prepares to reveal his identity as his companions groan. Oh no, not again. As the clansman asks who Mr. Sun is, narration begins the tale of a rock shattered by lightning on Mount Huaguo. The epic narration concludes, declaring Wukong is the great sage, equal to heaven, born from sky and earth. A few days later, the scene shifts to the sprawling, magnificent estate of the Namgung Clan. Wukong stands proudly with his companions, boasting that the clan's gates opened just upon hearing his name. Namgung guards gossip about Wukong's next-level crazy claims, debating whether to send him away. The senior member decides to let him in for now to prevent him from taking the captive Blood Iron Ghost elsewhere. A guard worries that Wukong isn't just harmlessly crazy and insists they keep a close watch on him. The group decides to let the clan leader evaluate their strange guest personally. A woman greets the newcomers, welcoming them to the Namgung Clan and introducing herself as Muwa. Muwa stands in a formal pose, ready to receive her guests. Muwa gives a polite, welcoming look to the new arrivals. Sun Wukong eyes his host with a surprised and curious expression. Finding the turn of events interesting, Wukong breaks into a wide, toothy grin. A glowing string of fate is shown connecting Wukong to Manhwa's unconscious form. Wukong and Muwa exchange glances, and she seems to ask a question. Muwa addresses him formally as Sir Warrior, but Wukong politely asks her to just call him Mr. Sun. Wukong claims he is honored to be a guest of the clan he so admires, saying he was momentarily speechless. He presents the cart with their captive, explaining that fate also guided him to capture their enemy, the Blood Iron Ghost, as a gift. Manhwa accepts, noting the clan leader will be pleased, though a bit disappointed he couldn't make the capture himself. The scene transitions to a peaceful garden within the Namgung Clan's estate. The wounded subordinate rests, fully bandaged, as Zhubaji thanks their hosts for the treatment. When asked how the deep wounds were treated, Wukong quips that you get good at medicine when dealing with a crybaby. Wujing mulls over Wukong's words, quietly thinking of Sanzang. Nearby, Muwa slyly asks Wukong if the person he met earlier was to his liking. Wukong feigns ignorance, but Zhubaji smirks, noting that his friend's behavior was strange. Zhubaji elaborates, pointing out how Wukong was smiling and speaking gently to Manhwa. He scolds Wukong for acting like a desperate dog, but Wukong coolly states he came here to find someone. When Zhubaji asks if he's looking for a specific official, Wukong evasively replies, "Who knows?" Wukong privately wonders if Muwa could be Sanzang, since reincarnation can change one's gender. Wujing sits alone, his expression serious and contemplative. He approaches Wukong, formally addressing him as Sir Warrior. Wujing salutes, announcing he will take the wounded Seimo back to Mount Heian in the morning. Wukong listens with a sharp, unreadable gaze. Wujing looks away, firm in his decision to leave. With a friendly smile, Wukong suggests they share a drink before parting ways. The scene shifts to a tranquil, lamplit pavilion at night. Wukong and Wujing sit across from each other, sharing drinks in thoughtful silence. Wujing begins to open up, explaining he grew up in a fishing village with a natural affinity for water. He reveals a strange master taught him true water transformation chi, a unique art that doesn't require breathing. He explains his art bypasses the need for breathing to generate power, but cheekily calls the method a secret. He recounts his tragic past, his village burned, getting caught in a faction war, and eventually drifting to Shaolin. Wujing takes a long drink, surprised at how much he's revealed, and feels a sudden jolt of realization. He reflects that drinking has loosened his tongue and considers his first impression of Wukong. Remembering that Wukong healed Seimo, his trust in the mysterious warrior solidifies. A new resolve settles over him. Wujing admits to himself that he simply wants to stay by Wukong's side. He realizes his earlier declaration to leave was just a childish tantrum. Coming to a decision, he offers Wukong another drink. "Ah, After many drinks, a tipsy Wukong leans back, thoroughly relaxed. Wu Jing hopes they can become closer as an empty bottle tips over, symbolizing their shared vulnerability. He asks Wukong's hometown. Wukong says Mount Huaguo, but Wu Jing dismisses it as a joke. Wukong insists he's telling the truth, calling his companion a fool for doubting him. Wu Jing feels hurt, believing Wukong is keeping his distance, and deems him unworthy of the truth. Wukong senses the shift in mood and sits up, his expression turning serious. Wu Jing stands to leave, announcing this will be their final farewell. Wukong looks up with an even gaze and calmly agrees, "All right." As Wu Jing determinedly walks away, Wukong watches him go. "Stay safe." Wu Jing freezes, turning back in utter confusion. Wukong meets his gaze, his eyes sharp and serious. Wukong explains that with the Blood Iron Ghost dead, his enemies will seek revenge, and while he is safe in the clan, they would likely target someone who was close to him, implying Wu Jing is now a target. The realization dawning on him, Wu Jing invites Wukong to have breakfast with him tomorrow. Taking a decisive step back toward the table, he declares he'll be sticking with Wukong until it's safe. Wu Jing turns to find Wukong still seated, watching him patiently. A knowing smirk spreads across Wukong's face as he says, "I knew it." The next day, the sun rises over the grand main hall of the Namgung Clan. Inside, Wukong, Wu Jing, and their companions stand before the assembled clan. The formidable leader of the Namgung Clan stands before them, hands clasped. The narration formally identifies him as Namgung Jinbaek. Wukong's eyes widen and his hair stands on end in complete shock. Namgung Jinbaek squints with suspicion, questioning the identity of Mr. Sun. Wukong greets the formidable clan leader, visibly flustered, a reaction the other clansmen quickly notice. He is confused, recalling the string of fate he saw connecting him to the woman, Manhwa. Now, as he gazes upon the clan leader, he sees another powerful string of fate glowing from his hand. A luminous, golden thread of destiny stretches between Wukong and the clan leader. Wukong realizes that the last trace of Sanzang's soul guided him specifically to Anhui province and the Namgung clan. He looks intently from Namgung Jinbaek to Manhwa, wondering which of them holds the soul he's been searching for. His quest culminates in this moment as he whispers the name he's been chasing, Sanzang. Wukong walks with newfound purpose toward the main estate of the Namgung clan. Wu Jing is asked for his opinion on the mysterious Wukong. Inside a grand hall, Namgung Jinbaek presides over a meeting with the clan elders. One elder admits he can't figure Wukong out, finding him to be a difficult man to read. Another elder recounts that Wukong simply expressed his admiration for the clan and sincerely asked to be accepted as a guest. The elders debate his character, noting he seemed arrogant but not disrespectful, yet his origins and abilities remain a complete mystery. Manhwa adds that there are too many inconsistencies about the man who supposedly defeated the blood demon. Her most critical point is that she couldn't sense any martial arts from him at all. The elders murmur in agreement, realizing they all had the same unsettling experience. A clansman expresses his disbelief, questioning how any of this is possible. Namgung San speculates that Wukong is either an unbelievably skilled master or uses a unique art to perfectly conceal his energy. Namgung Jinbaek confirms their suspicions, stating he also couldn't sense even a hint of Wukong's internal energy. A heavy silence falls over the council, stunned by their leader's confirmation. The elders fret over the troubling situation, but Namgung Jinbaek calmly announces that he has already made his decision. Stroking his distinctive goatee, the clan leader declares they will accept Mr. Sun as a guest. Wukong wanders the estate grounds alone as night falls. He stands resolute under the light of the full moon. Wukong clarifies his twofold mission. First, to find Sanzang's spirit within the clan. And second, to track down the enemies who are also after it, knowing they will reveal themselves soon. He muses that the most surprising thing is the incredible power that these humans possess. A shadowy group of pursuers with glowing eyes confirms that powerful enemies are indeed hunting for the spirit. Namgung Jinbaek sits on his throne, emanating an immense, otherworldly blue aura. Wukong recognizes the clan leader's power not as mere internal energy, but something as strong as the demonic energy of a great yokai. An overwhelming power surges from Namgung Jinbaek, his eyes glowing with intensity. Wukong wonders if humanity has truly advanced to such a level, and realizes he may have to get serious soon. A challenging smirk spreads across his face as he decides it's time to test his own power. The scene shifts to the Namgung Clan's office late at night. Manhwa is startled as a hand drops yet another stack of documents on her desk. An elderly servant sees Manhwa is still working, but she sighs with resignation, saying there's no helping it. The servant leaves, and Manhwa lets out a weary sigh. She reflects that since the war depleted their numbers, she now handles tasks once done by 3 or 4 people. Furthermore, with countless enemies holding grudges, the clan must remain on constant alert for the next incident. She sits alone in the office, the weight of her responsibilities pressing down on her. A voice praises her from off-screen, calling her a truly great leader for her dedication. Back in the council room, Namgung Jinbaek formally announces his decision to accept Mr. Sun. However, he adds a condition, explaining they will request Wukong's cooperation in matters where the clan cannot directly intervene. He clarifies that they will ask Wukong to handle their enemies for them. The first benefit, he explains, is that their enemies cannot openly retaliate, since the clan is not directly involved. Second, if Mr. Sun refuses, they can simply send him away with no consequences. And third, if he accepts, it will reveal his true purpose for being at their estate. The elders agree that it is a brilliant, multifaceted plan. With a decisive gesture, Namgung Jinbaek concludes the discussion regarding Mr. Sun. From her window, Manhwa privately reflects on her leader's bold actions and sharp instincts. A thought bubble expresses admiration for the leader of the Namgung Clan. The scene settles on a sweeping lantern-lit view of the vast Namgung Clan estate at night. The next day, Sun Wukong stands alone in a grand courtyard, ready to begin his assessment. He flexes his hands, relieved that his physical abilities haven't weakened significantly. A flashback details his innate powers, fiery eyes and golden vision, to see past illusions, and an invulnerable body. Wukong touches his eye, lamenting that his vision has weakened. He can only see the string of fate and vaguely sense emotions. Tap. He crouches low to the ground, concentrating. He decides the real test isn't his body, but his dormant yokai energy, which begins to swirl around him. Wukong meditates as his fiery yokai energy erupts, his hair and clothes whipping in the force. A celestial being appears in his mind, observing that even with his powers sealed, he can uniquely still use yokai energy. Wukong reflects that while he gave up his yokai energy in the celestial realm, it has slowly started to recover on Earth. He now understands why the Bodhisattva sent him here. To face humans with yokai-level energy, he will need his old power. With a wicked grin, he resolves to wield the full power of the great sage, heaven's equal, Sun Wukong. Wham! The explosive force of his energy surges outward as he tries to rein it in. He is blown backward by the sheer intensity of the overflowing power. Landing on his feet, he pants, realizing that mastering this power might be possible. He stares at his hand, which now glows with a faint, residual energy. Clenching his fist with a confident smile, he declares, "No! If it's me, I can do it." He looks out with renewed determination, ready to reclaim his strength. Narration explains that yokai energy does not belong to the pristine celestial realm. It is a raw power that originated from the lower world of spirits and demons. Over time, the remnants of this energy in the mortal world were purified by nature, which humans then learned to absorb. Humans refined this natural power into a disciplined force they called internal energy. Wukong thoughtfully examines his hand. He realizes that human martial arts are ultimately rooted in the very yokai energy he possesses. Gazing at the sky, he concludes that recreating their techniques with his own energy is possible. A confident smirk crosses his face as he resolves to make their power his and his alone. He begins to recall all the martial arts he has witnessed, including the flow of energy he saw with his golden vision. He muses that, to control that flow and enforce it with his will, is the true essence of creating a martial art. He remembers Wu Jing's explanation that martial arts traditionally rely on breathing to generate power. Wukong acknowledges that breathing is the basic method for regulating qi and cultivating internal energy. However, he then recalls Wu Jing's unique technique, water transformation true qi. He remembers how Wu Jing fought underwater without breathing, relying solely on the pure control of his qi. Wukong decides to use that concept as a foundation, controlling his yokai energy through sensation and willpower alone. He focuses, intending to manipulate the energy with extreme precision and delicacy. Whoosh! A powerful, water-like blue aura erupts from his meditative form, He calmly centers his mind, feeling the flow of his newly controlled power. He recalls the Blood Iron Ghost's sinister snake-like energy. The ghost's technique, with its unique pauses and sudden bursts, comes to mind. Wukong decides to incorporate a new, aggressive flow into the essence of the water transformation chi. From his blue aura, a brilliant white snake of pure energy manifests, mirroring the ghost's technique. His power flares as he combines the fluid control of water with the aggressive bursts of a striking serpent. The narrator notes that witnessing Sun Wukong's thoughts would have been shocking, a feat never before attempted in martial history. He is combining the best aspects of different martial arts to forge an entirely new, supreme technique. If successful, it would create what is known as an absolute supreme martial art. Many masters have attempted this, but the vast majority have failed. The attempt often leads to a dangerous cultivation deviation, and Wukong strains under the immense pressure. The backlash is described. One would normally cough up blood and collapse from the unbearable strain, but Wukong just grins through the blood, his eyes glowing with defiant power. A celestial figure warns Wukong in a flashback that his rage comes from an untamed malicious spirit he must guard against. The figure's advice echoes in his mind: keep your center and do not waver. Narration identifies Sun Wukong's greatest ability, the one that allowed him to become the victorious fighting Buddha. Wukong holds his ground amidst a fiery inferno, demonstrating his core principle. He does not waver, he simply observes. The untamed yokai energy, now sharpened and lethal, flows through his meridians in a calculated, intricate pattern. Two distinct energies, the blue of water and the red of aggression, swirl together, intertwining but refusing to merge. The two powers find a new harmony, existing in perfect coexistence within him. For the first time, Wukong achieves what martial artists call a full circulation of qi, as his yokai energy flows through all 12 meridians. A confident smirk spreads across Wukong's face as he feels his newfound power, declaring, "This should be enough." The scene shifts to a tranquil daytime view of the Namgung Clan estate. Wu Jing walks through the quiet grounds of the estate. He observes that the clan members seem sparse, with even the higher-ups fully committed to their training. Over a lavish meal with a companion, Wu Jing remarks that he now understands the appeal of being a guest at the Namgung Clan. Later, they both sleep soundly with full bellies, appreciating the comfortable lodging provided. He reflects on the good life as he enjoys another meal, noting that they even provide food. Drifting off to sleep again, he blissfully sighs that it's a wonderful place to live. Staring out the window, Wu Jing finds himself overcome with drowsiness. Yawn, he gives in to the lazy feeling, a tear of exhaustion escaping his eye. Sitting up with his sword, Wu Jing reminds himself that despite his bandit past, he is a martial artist and a former Shaolin disciple. He recalls his youthful dream of becoming the strongest martial artist in the world, once desiring power above all else. Patting his stomach, he sighs that his comfortable life and age are catching up to him. His thoughts turn to Mr. Sun, who, despite seeming lazy, has been training non-stop in the backgrounds. Wu Jing stands, deciding that someone of Wukong's caliber would naturally take his training seriously. With renewed resolve, he stands ready to begin his own training. As he walks down a long hallway, Wukong's voice calls out his name from behind. Wukong appears and asks where he's going. Wu Jing, stating he's heading to train, feels confused by Wukong's conflicting tone. Wu Jing turns to see Wukong following him and asks why. Wukong announces he's going to train beside him, casually granting permission to watch, which Wu Jing finds odd but typical of his eccentric personality. Wu Jing's eyes widen with anticipation, eager to witness Wukong's power firsthand. The two warriors walk together into an empty courtyard. Wukong suddenly challenges Wu Jing to a spar, telling him to draw his sword to gain a first-hand understanding. Wukong taunts the hesitant Wu Jing, cheekily asking if he's worried about actually being killed. A nervous sweat drips down Wu Jing's face as he thinks Wukong's words sound like a bad omen. Wu Jing reluctantly draws his sword, facing off against the unarmed Wukong. He holds his large sword at the ready, his expression grim. Wu Jing finds it strange that Wukong just stands there with his arms crossed after challenging him to a spar. He reminds himself to stay sharp, knowing from experience that he cannot afford to underestimate Sun Wukong's abilities. Wukong suddenly mirrors Wu Jing's fighting stance, ready for battle. Wu Jing is confused why Wukong would copy his sword stance for a barehanded fight, but Wukong tells him not to overthink it and offers him 10 moves. Accepting the challenge, Wu Jing warns the warrior that he's going to regret this. The spar begins as Wu Jing closes the distance in a blur. Wu Jing notices that Wukong's copied stance makes his dodging movements feel clumsy and awkward. Seizing the opportunity, he decides to press forward with his momentum. He thinks, with a surge of hope, that he might actually be able to land a hit. Wu Jing lunges, unleashing a powerful sword strike. Kwang Wukong narrowly deflects the heavy blow. Wukong fluidly dodges another of Wu Jing's advances. Wu Jing grunts, his frustration growing. He unleashes a furious barrage of slashes, filling the air with streaks of blue energy. Wukong effortlessly weaves through the flurry of attacks, avoiding every single strike. A confident smirk spreads across Wukong's face as the spar ends. Wu Jing admits in disbelief that he couldn't even graze Wukong before the 10 moves were over, acknowledging him as an expert. Wukong casually brushes off his sleeve. The playful warm-up now concluded. A wave of confusion washes over Wu Jing as he senses something utterly familiar in Wukong's stance. To his shock, Wukong perfectly mirrors the core posture of his own water transformation Qi martial art. Wukong declares that since Wu Jing was so serious, he can no longer afford to hold back either. The two warriors clash in a blur of motion, their movements nearly identical. Wu Jing realizes in horror that Sun Wukong isn't just fighting barehanded. He is using Wu Jing's own martial art, Suajin Qi. He wonders in disbelief if Wukong is somehow even better at the technique than he is. As Wukong's attacks press on, Wu Jing realizes with dread that his opponent's imitation is becoming flawless. No way, Wu Jing grits his teeth, unable to comprehend what's happening. From the moment he started imitating the Suajin Qi, Wukong is perfecting the martial art right before his very eyes. Thump Wukong lands a solid blow to Wu Jing's chest. Kwang, he follows with a decisive strike, breaking through Wu Jing's defense. Wu Jing is sent sprawling to the ground, utterly defeated. Wukong stands over him, remarking, "I think I get it now," as Wu Jing groans in pain. Picking himself up, Wu Jing asks if he just copied his martial art, to which Wukong gives a simple, cheeky, "Yeah." Wu Jing has an epiphany, realizing the hardest part of martial arts is knowing the path forward, and he just witnessed the ideal form of his own art. He looks at Wukong with newfound hope, wondering if he too can reach that level of mastery. Wu Jing demands to know how Wukong not only saw his art but used it more perfectly than him. Wukong simply tilts his head in thought, looking completely unconcerned. With a straight face, he points to himself and says, "It just worked." Wu Jing seethes with frustration, wondering if Wukong is messing with him. The scene shifts to Wukong meditating on a hill, overlooking the serene Namgung estate. He reflects in frustration that after days of trying, he still can't merge the two energy flows, wondering if he's worse than humans. Narration explains that it's only natural, as martial arts techniques are the product of centuries of refinement by countless geniuses. A vision shows generations of masters, as the narration questions how anyone could perfect such arts in just 7 days. As Wukong meditates, it's noted that merging two different martial philosophies is a difficult problem even for him. But no matter how uncharted the path may be, sooner or later it will be paved. Wukong reflects that his old way of fighting was simply rampaging around, kicking and punching. A flashback shows his monstrous yokai form, dominating a battlefield through sheer destructive force. He contrasts this with humans, who use fixed forms and structures to control their qi. This disciplined control is how they tame their wild energy and use it at will. He realizes his martial philosophy, reliant on raw demonic energy, lacked any such structure. With newfound resolve, Wukong decides he must control his demonic energy in its most perfect form. He muses that he'd like to test himself against more martial artists, but first, he needs to break someone's bad habit of spying on him. Pwah! He launches himself into the trees with incredible speed. A sly grin crosses his face as he zips through the forest. He closes in on his target, a blur of motion in the night. He muses that no matter how much time passes, some things, like pests, will always exist. A small, startled white owl named Miaoduwung is revealed to be the spy. Kwang! Wukong intercepts the fleeing owl in a burst of energy. Wah! He snatches the terrified creature right out of the air. Holding the owl, Wukong notes it's trying hard to escape and asks who it is. Seeing the owl doesn't recognize him, Wukong pats its head, guessing it's a new mountain spirit as it trembles in fear. He scoffs at being called a demon and asks if the spirit has heard of the great sage, equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. The owl recalls its elders' warnings about a lunatic never to be engaged, blurting out in terror, "That mad, fiery horse." The owl panics, realizing its mistake. Wukong's face twists in rage, threatening to boil and eat the little brat if it repeats that name. The terrified owl quickly agrees. The terrified owl introduces itself as the regional deity of Waryong Mountain, justifying its spying as a duty to verify strong energy, but Wukong isn't buying it. The owl begs Wukong not to eat it, prompting Wukong to ask it a question, since it's the local deity. Wukong asks if the owl has witnessed any unusual spiritual activity in the Namgung Clan, which the owl finds confusing. Wukong clarifies that he is searching for the immense, missing soul of a former Buddha, Samjang, which a mountain spirit would surely have sensed. The owl suddenly remembers a moment when the Namgung Clan was racked by a storm of spiritual energy. When pressed for details, the panicked owl stammers that it can't remember anything else. Wukong stares intently, demanding to know what it means by "can't remember." The little owl shivers in pure terror, unable to speak. Whoosh! The owl suddenly flies away from Wukong and towards an unseen figure. The owl explains to its savior that Wukong's aura felt like that of a great demon. Wukong looks on disdainfully, thinking the newcomer isn't much to look at. A dignified man appears, greeting Master Sun and referring to the owl as Dear Bikao, who happily flies to him. The man observes Wukong, sensing a calm but overwhelming power. He is identified as the leader of the Namgung Clan, Namgung Jinbaek. Namgung Jinbaek stands calmly with the small owl, Baekyo, perched on his hand. When Wukong asks about Baekyo, Jinbaek explains the ancient spirit has watched over the mountain for generations and knew his family well. Jinbaek feeds the happily chirping Baekyo, remarking that its pure white feathers are proof of its spiritual nature. Wukong glares at the owl's smug expression, privately regretting that he didn't just eat the little pest. As Jinbaek releases the owl into the night, he asks what brings Wukong to this part of the estate. Wukong scoffs, his gaze turning sharp and confrontational. Jinbaek meets his intensity with a stare that is described as sharp enough to cut steel. "Is that a problem?" Jinbaek asks, his expression unyielding. Wukong challenges him directly, suggesting they have a match right then and there. The tension rises as Wukong takes a step forward. Wukong relents, deciding that now is not the right time for a fight. Turning to Jinbaek, Wukong says he has a question, and Jinbaek invites him to ask. Wukong bluntly asks why he was accepted as a guest, despite Jinbaek's clear distrust, surprising the clan leader with his frankness. Jinbaek admits that he felt a sense of familiarity, as if drawn by instinct rather than fate. After Wukong confirms they've never met, Jinbaek says he won't pry into his past but directly asks if he came to the clan with a purpose. Wukong smirks, admitting that he's looking for someone. When asked who, Wukong cryptically replies that he knows neither their name nor their face, only their connection. Wukong stares intently, explaining that since fate brought them together, he must see it through. Jinbaek muses that Wukong sounds like a wise monk, wondering if he's from Shaolin. He explains that his clan is cautious of outsiders, having lost many relatives to spies during a past war. Jinbaek tells Wukong he must earn their trust if he wishes to stay, and proposes a task. Wukong calmly accepts the offer without a moment's hesitation. Jinbaek is taken aback, pointing out that Wukong agreed before even hearing what the task is. Wukong cheekily asks if the details matter, given their connection, which prompts Jinbaek to remind him he just denied knowing him. With a confident smirk, Wukong suggests that perhaps they were connected in a past life. Jinbaek stares up at the sky, momentarily at a loss for words. Wukong reflects that gaining Jinbaek's trust will be a great help in his search for Sanzang's traces within the family. He decides that interrogating the trembling Baekyo will have to wait for later. Wukong follows Jinbaek as they walk away through the moonlit forest. A few days later, the scene shifts to a bustling street in Anhui province at sunset. The townspeople murmur and stare as two figures walk through the crowd. Wukong and Wujing make their way through the busy street. Wukong asks Wujing if he's located the most famous blacksmith shop in Anhui. A boy points them to the Yanged blacksmith shop and asks why they need one, to which Wukong replies that he needs a weapon. Wujing asks what kind of weapon, and Wukong cheekily reminds him of Sun Wukong's most cherished weapon, much to Wujing's dismay. Wujing nervously suggests the Rui Jingu Bang, sighing to himself that Wukong is really committed to the bit. At the bustling Yanged blacksmith shop, Wukong makes a request to forge the heaviest iron staff possible. A blacksmith notes Wukong's noble air and unusual request for a staff. Wukong cheekily jokes that being stared at makes him shy. Wukong asks the smith to melt a small, dark ingot and wrap it on the staff's tip, surprising the man with its lightness. Xing, the blacksmith, tests the strange metal, which gleams with an unusual energy. A look of dawning horror and realization spreads across the blacksmith's face. The blacksmith identifies the material as legendary meteorite iron and asks if his shop can truly handle it, to which Wukong confirms its identity. With a confident smirk, Wukong reveals he wants to acquire much more meteorite iron and cover the entire staff with it. The blacksmiths are aghast at the request for a material as rare as stars, though they know it's no lie. The head blacksmith accepts the challenge, promising his best work as Wukong entrusts the precious material to him. As they leave, Wujing muses that the metal must be why the Bloodsteel ghost was so obsessed, but Wukong hints that getting a weapon isn't his only goal. Wukong reveals his true purpose. The Namgung family asked him for a favor. Wujing asks what favor. As narration explains, the Yanged blacksmith shop was once managed by the Namgung family. After the Great War of Justice, however, the weakened Namgung family lost the shop to their rivals, the Cheongyap clan. The scene transitions, showing various images of the clan's estate. The narration reveals a critical complication. The Cheongyap clan has allied with the powerful Joseon Gate. Wukong declares his mission. He must help reclaim the blacksmith shop and its craftsmen before the new alliance solidifies. Wujing is left utterly speechless by the dangerous revelation. He panics, shouting that Joseon Gate is a massive evil sect that even the 5 great families struggle to deal with. Wujing questions why Wukong accepted the request, knowing the complicated and dangerous history between the clans. He argues that the Namgung family will use Wukong as a pawn and avoid taking any responsibility for the outcome. He warns that all the hatred from both the Cheongyap clan and Joseon Gate will fall squarely on Wukong's shoulders. CSK, Wukong smirks, turning to his companion and asking, "Are you worried about me?" Wujing, flustered, calls the situation a mess and nervously suggests they just run away together. Wukong reassures the stammering Wujing, putting an arm around him and promising to handle it before offering to buy him noodles. As Wujing happily asks for 2 bowls, Wukong thinks to himself that the bait has been set. Back at the forge, the nervous blacksmiths examine the iron as Wukong's thoughts continue. He just needs to wait patiently. Wukong generously tells Wujing he can have 4 bowls of noodles, not just 2. While they eat, Wukong playfully asks Wujing if he's Zhu Baji, leaving his companion confused. A beautifully dressed woman appears in the doorway, and Wujing looks up from his meal, startled. Wujing is immediately smitten, thinking she is a stunningly beautiful woman. The woman approaches their table, asking Wujing why he's staring, which makes him wonder if he was too obvious. The woman and Wukong have a coded exchange about hiding one's identity, with her noting her little brother hasn't noticed, shocking Wujing. She warns them that the entire area, including the restaurant, belongs to the Cheongyap clan. Addressing Wukong as Mr. Sun, she asks why he's acting alone instead of with the Namgung warriors. She presses him, demanding to know why he moved first by himself. Wukong replies that he acted in the Namgung family's best interest, prompting her to reveal the main family is already making plans. Leaning in, Wukong correctly guesses their plan was to use him for a forceful takeover, which she confirms was Myunggi's idea. When she asks for his plan, Wukong cryptically remarks on how lively the blacksmith shop seemed. She chides him for placing a weapon order now, pointing out that his appearance is far too conspicuous. With a full-cheeked grin, Wukong tells her he'd rather show her his plan than explain it with words. Just then, a group of men, led by one with a mustache, approaches, addressing Wukong as young master and inquiring about his rare materials. The mustached man and the woman exchange serious glances across the restaurant. The man proposes a deal, setting his hand on the table as narration confirms the bait is set. A sharp, predatory grin spreads across Wukong's face. In a flashback, the mustached man admits he was watching Wukong from the moment he entered the iron prison. The man watches Wukong with a calculating gaze. He observes to his men that Wukong does carry an air of nobility. Watching from another table, the man muses that Wukong possesses a good amount of valuable black iron, Wukong senses the man's gaze as the man notes he can't detect any inner energy from him. The mustached man dismisses Wukong as just a rich, foolish foreigner traveling for fun. A thug with a top knot is assessed as a tough-looking bodyguard. His female companion has a sword but seems to lack any internal energy. Mustache Man from the Chinxi clan muses that securing the black iron will greatly boost his position. He nervously watches as a hand counts down, building tension. The count finishes at 11, tallying the number of armed men in the room. A young blonde man tells the mustached man that 11 worthless lives are not enough to make a deal. He coldly mocks them as dogs drooling over black iron and beggars scrambling for food. The mustached man seethes, assuming the blonde man's arrogance comes from his bodyguards. Wukong reveals the misunderstanding with a smirk, asking if they think he's the bodyguard, as the woman wonders about his plan. Enraged, the Qingji clan leader orders his men to seize all 3 of them. The warriors draw their swords, preparing to attack Wukong's group. The large bodyguard, Ojiang, stands up to face the mob while Wukong watches calmly. Wukong cheerfully calls out to a confused Ojiang, saying this is his thanks for their last lesson. He smiles, confirming he's referring to their previous encounter. The Qingxi clan warriors scream and charge forward to attack. Ojiang erupts in a flurry of powerful, golden slashes, meeting the charge head-on. To Wukong's surprise, the woman draws her sword and rushes into the fray. She leaps gracefully through the air, cutting down multiple attackers in a single fluid motion. She moves with deadly precision, easily dispatching the enemy soldiers. The warriors cry out as they are systematically taken down. Both Ojiang and the woman fight ferociously, turning the tide of the battle. The Qingxi leader scoffs, declaring that for all their posturing, their skills are nothing special. This scene flashes with Ojiang's powerful movements during the melee. He continues his assault, a blur of motion and steel. The Qingxi leader is stunned, as Ojiang's clumsy movements suddenly become incredibly fast. Ojiang presses his relentless attack with newfound ferocity. The scene shifts to a peaceful courtyard as a voice asks, "What are you doing?" In a flashback, Ojiang kneels humbly before Wukong. He desperately begs Wukong to teach him just one thing. Ojiang reflects on their previous match, admitting he learned a lot from the encounter. He asks for guidance from Wukong as a junior martial artist, recalling his utter defeat. As the memory of his loss continues, Wukong dismisses the idea of being his senior. Ojiang insists that Wukong's superior strength automatically makes him his senior. With a sheepish grin, Ojiang admits his fighting technique is only effective in water. Wukong challenges this belief, telling him to stop thinking of it as being on land and instead imagine he is underwater. He gives his single piece of advice: move as if you are swimming through water. Ojiang kneels, silently absorbing the profound, yet simple, lesson. Back in the present, Ojiang wields his sword with a transformed, fluid grace. He realizes Wukong's single sentence was the key to mastering his water flow technique on land. He and the woman carve through the remaining soldiers with unstoppable momentum. The woman lands a finishing blow, ending her part of the fight. The battle concludes, leaving the room in disarray with defeated foes. The woman watches in surprise, realizing Ojiang's fighting style has become unusually effective. She knows that breathing is essential for using internal energy. But as she observes him, she realizes his breathing is irregular. No, that's not it. She stares in shock, concluding that he isn't breathing at all. Believing she's no longer needed, she turns to leave. But Wukong tells her to keep watching. Ojiang continues his relentless assault, moving like an unstoppable force of nature. Wukong grins, satisfied that Ojiang understood his hint and isn't completely clueless after all. Holding his breath like he's underwater, Ojiang charges through the last of his opponents. Wu Jing is shocked as he recognizes the familiar, powerful sword technique. Wukong watches the unfolding fight with keen, analytical eyes. He visualizes Wukong perfectly executing his own martial art style. Wu Jing realizes in astonishment that it's the same technique Wukong used in their fight. He recalls his own martial form, channeling the essence of flowing water. His technique draws power from the chaos of a river's current to fuel his movements. He moves like a vortex, embodying the fluid power of the water. He remembers the core principle, to become like a turtle, simply going with the flow. He flows around his opponent's strike, effortlessly turning defense into offense. In the present, Wu Jing unleashes this technique, sending the attacking thugs flying. The mustached man is stunned by the sudden defeat, realizing he gravely misjudged the thug and the woman. He concedes that their skills are incredible as the trio stands over the defeated men. Wu Jing grips his sword, a new sense of understanding coursing through him. He declares that he has taken a step forward, finally able to use his water flow technique on land. With newfound mastery, Wu Jing stands tall and confident. He turns to Wukong, startled by a sudden thought. Wu Jing frustratedly asks why Wukong couldn't have just told him the secret directly. Wukong gives a knowing smile, explaining that the easy path is also the easiest to forget. The mustache man panics, realizing he's in deep trouble. Deciding he is completely outmatched, he concludes that his only option is to run for his life. Wukong's eyes narrow as a kicked-over chair signals the man's attempt to flee. The man's escape is cut short as Wukong appears before him, blocking his path. Shocked to face another master, the man plans a desperate hit-and-run attack. He lunges with a powerful strike, but Wukong simply watches with mild curiosity. A vicious grin spreads across Wukong's face as he relishes the chance to test his new power. A brilliant aura of golden energy begins to emanate from him. Wukong's hair floats as his eyes burn with power, ready to be unleashed. The man commits to his desperate, full-force attack. His blade slices through the air, aimed directly at Wukong's chest. Narration explains Wukong's power usually rages like an uncontrollable storm. But now, Wukong raises his hand, preparing to wield that power with perfect control. Instead of expanding, he compresses the chaotic energy into his palm. He casually sidesteps the attack, his glowing hand poised to strike. In a blinding flash of red, Wukong counters. The man is bewildered, unable to comprehend what just happened. His eyes widen in terror as he sees his own attack completely dissipate. Smack Wukong's palm connects solidly with the man's face. Slamming him to the floor, Wukong declares that he now understands the concept of compressing spiritual power. He looms over his opponent, his hands still glowing with crimson energy. A brutal crunch echoes as the man's face is driven into the ground. Wukong grins manically, announcing that he, the great sage, will now personally teach him a lesson. He delivers a series of brutal stomps, shocking both Wu Jing and the woman with his viciousness. The woman realizes Wukong used the meteorite iron as bait to justify this very confrontation. His plan was to provoke their greed, forcing them to attack first and give him cause to retaliate. This gives him the perfect excuse to attack the Blue Alliance faction and reclaim the blacksmith shop. A clan leader observes that Wukong's ruthless strategy is no different from the very plan their own alliance leader had originally suggested. The woman warns Wukong that his actions will make an enemy of the entire Blue Alliance, a righteous faction. Wukong simply smirks, entirely unbothered by the potential consequences. The defeated thugs are carried away by their comrades, leaving the scene in defeat. Wukong and the woman walk through a bustling street, drawing stares and whispers from the crowd. The woman worries they're drawing too much attention, but Wukong confidently replies that it's exactly what they need. She asks for his plan, but he simply tells her to watch, as she's the one who asked for his cooperation. The woman muses that provoking a fight to create justification is a common tactic in the martial world. Elsewhere, a Namgung Clan leader explains that when Wukong clashes with the Blue Alliance, their family will intervene to protect him. A woman scoffs at the politics, declaring she doesn't care for the logic of the so-called righteous factions. Back in the street, the woman with Wukong has a look of sudden realization. She wonders if Wukong's chaotic vibe is surprisingly a perfect match for the Namgung Clan. The scene shifts back to the blacksmith shop, where a large crowd has gathered. A nervous blacksmith asks what's happening, and Wukong points to the group of thugs asking if they are the owners. An angry onlooker shouts that those men attacked Wukong while trying to steal his precious meteorite iron. With a wicked grin, Wukong points an accusing finger, declaring they tried to rob him. The crowd murmurs that while the meteorite iron is valuable, they don't know who this foreigner is. They speculate that he must have powerful backing to dare challenge the Blue Alliance alone. The woman notes that news of this confrontation will spread quickly through the province's information networks. Wukong loudly proclaims he can't trust such criminals and is canceling his order for the iron staff immediately. The blacksmiths look on in horror, the head blacksmith gasping in dismay. Holding a small chest, he explains they were still planning the forging process for the meteorite iron. He returns the chest, promising the material is untouched, and laments that things were never this chaotic under Namgung rule. A man from the Blue Alliance steps forward, confirming the meteorite iron's existence and smugly declaring it's his lucky day. The blacksmiths and the crowd watch in shock as the man snatches the chest away. The man from the Blue Alliance looks into the chest, his expression turning to confusion. He opens it to find it completely empty and demands to know where the meteorite iron went. Peering closer, he finds a single, long strand of golden hair inside the empty box. The man shouts to the crowd that the meteorite iron is gone, replaced only by a strand of hair. The head blacksmith panics, clutching his head and swearing he locked the chest securely. The crowd buzzes with confusion, recalling Wukong entrusting the iron to the shop just as the Blue Alliance was plotting to get it. Amidst the chaos, Wukong watches with a subtle, knowing smile. The onlookers immediately suspect the Blue Alliance, accusing them of theft and questioning their righteous status. The thugs who started the fight now kneel defeated before Wukong. Wukong remarks that their crude methods were driven by greed, leaving the thugs utterly bewildered. With a triumphant grin, Wukong declares that the Blue Alliance must now take full responsibility. At the Blue Alliance headquarters, a leader asks for confirmation that the meteorite iron was indeed at the ironworks. A subordinate confirms it was witnessed by many, prompting the furious leader to demand where it went. The subordinate reports that the golden-haired man is a new guest of the rival Namgung family. The leader, identified as Mo Sionbo, grits his teeth in rage, realizing the Namgung family is behind this stunt. Mo Sionbo's anger gives way to contemplation as he considers the situation. A cunning smile spreads across his face as he formulates a counterplan. He muses that while they are currently seen as the aggressors, this could impact their business rights. He realizes the narrative will now frame the Namgung family as the schemers who set a trap. Mo Seonbo sees an opportunity to protect his interests, gain support, and exploit the Namgung family's already poor reputation. The shadows of the Namgung clan loom over their darkened estate. A new day dawns over the expansive and grand Namgung family compound. A Namgung representative tells the woman that reclaiming the ironworks will be difficult, because the real issue is public perception. The woman agrees, worrying that this incident will make the Namgung family look like treacherous schemers. Wukong asks if the Blue Alliance is officially a righteous faction, which the Namgung representative confirms despite their crafty ways. A predatory grin spreads across Wukong's face as he states that's all he needed to know. He turns and walks toward the open doors, leaving his companions confused by his sudden departure. The woman watches him leave, trying to understand what he's thinking. Looking out at the sunset, Wukong thinks to himself that soon everyone will believe the Blue Alliance stole the meteorite iron. The narration reveals a new name for the meteorite iron. In the underworld, it is called Wanshol, but its true identity is far more significant. It is a fragment of the legendary seven-star sword. Because of this, the Blue Alliance, now believed to possess the fragment, will become a target. A powerful, muscular warrior with a massive sword strapped to his back approaches a grand estate at sunset. He is one of the many who seek the seven-star sword fragment. The warrior gazes at the estate, his imposing figure silhouetted against the dying light. Elsewhere, Wukong watches the same sunset with a knowing look. A technique card explains the hair clone technique, revealing Wukong's hair can transform into anything he desires. At his desk, the Qiangyap clanmaster, Mo Seonbo, reads intently. A subordinate rushes in frantically reporting that something terrible has happened, and Mo Seonbo asks what it is. The subordinate panics, explaining that a strange swordsman has appeared demanding the meteorite iron, and they cannot stop him. Mo Seonbo dismisses the threat, stating it's natural for greedy martial artists to appear after the rumors, and orders his warriors to deal with them without mercy. As the subordinate stammers, Mo Seonbo declares they will use this as a warning to others who followed the false rumors. The subordinate finally manages to report that all the warriors guarding the entrance are already dead, as a scene of bloody carnage is shown. Stunned, Mo Seonbo demands to know what his subordinate means. The terrified subordinate flinches as blood splatters across his face. Wham! He is sent flying back by a sudden, brutal attack. The muscular warrior smashes through the door, having carved a path of destruction through the estate. Drawing his sword, Mo Seonbo angrily demands to know who the intruder is. The warrior, shrouded in shadow with glowing red eyes, demands the meteorite iron. He corrects himself, his eyes glowing brighter as he demands the fragment of the seven-star sword. Mo Seonbo sweats, sensing a deeply evil aura and wondering if the man is from the evil faction. He stands his ground, declaring they don't have the fragment and wouldn't give it up even if they did. The warrior declares he has no choice but to kill them all and burn the place down. He sneers that the fragment will be the only thing that remains after the fire. Crash and explosion erupts as the warrior begins his destructive assault. Night falls over the Cheongyup clan's vast, multi-tiered compound. A messenger runs through the halls, desperately shouting for someone named Master Manhwa. Back at the Namgung estate, Wukong and the woman learn that the ambushed Cheongyup clan has requested rescue. The woman is stunned by the news of both the ambush and the desperate plea for help. She looks from the messenger to Wukong, realizing with dawning suspicion that he must have expected this outcome. Wukong's subtle, confident smirk confirms that this was all part of his plan. A Namgung representative asks if Wukong's true goal was to lure a third party into attacking the Cheongyup clan. The woman explains that there's only one reason opposing orthodox factions would cooperate: the appearance of the evil faction. Wukong looks genuinely surprised, questioning the mention of the evil faction. The woman concedes that while Wukong may have provoked an attack, he couldn't have predicted the evil faction itself would show up. She wonders what happened to the Sama alliance and how the notoriously proud Namgung warriors will react. Just the mention of the evil faction is enough to stir the righteous fury of the Namgung warriors. The woman's expression hardens as she asks how the evil faction dares to show its face in Anhui province. Wukong stands, announcing that before they reclaim the ironworks, they must first go save the Cheongyup clan from their crisis. The woman urgently commands her people to gather every available warrior and meet at the Cheongyup headquarters. As chaos erupts, Wukong muses to himself that the bait he threw keeps getting more and more bites. The muscular warrior stands grimly, the architect of the unfolding destruction. Wukong, the woman, and Wu Jing leap across the rooftops, rushing toward the conflict. Wukong thinks to himself that this escalation will also allow him to draw out the bloody iron ghost. The Cheongyup clan headquarters is now completely engulfed in a raging inferno. Arriving on a nearby rooftop, the group looks down upon the massive fire consuming the entire compound. Wu Jing is aghast at the scale of the destruction, realizing the entire garden complex has been burned to the ground. The woman identifies the grim-faced men gathered below, stating they are the leaders of all the black forces in the Anhui province. The gathered men are identified as Master Huang Dongjian of the Black Lotus Martial Hall and Master Ho Jianggak of Hoga Village. Other leaders are introduced: Master Jiang Ilcheon of Black Dragon Bang and Master Park Zhongnam of Unyabang. It's revealed that even the Bloody Iron Ghost was searching the Black Forces for the 7-star sword fragment. Master Ho Jianggak recognizes the woman's sword sheath, realizing with concern that a member of the Namgung family is present. He proposes an alliance, offering to share the profits from the defeated Cheongyup clan with the Namgung family. The offered assets are revealed: Yangachil Bang, Hoziong Tower, Sioha Inn, and the Sioha Trading Company. A red-haired woman steps forward, promising the Namgung family everything if they cooperate. The Namgung woman reflects that this is an incredibly generous offer, as these were businesses the Cheongyup clan acquired cheaply after a war. Her suspicion grows, believing the offer is too good to be true. She reasons that the risk of the Black Forces openly attacking an orthodox faction is far too great for this to be their only motive. She wonders if their true goal is actually the meteorite iron. But she dismisses the idea, unable to believe it. She concludes that coveting the numerous business rights must be the more reasonable explanation, despite the risks. Watching the leaders block the entrance, she questions why they would take such a huge risk. Wukong realizes there must be a single leader unifying the Black Forces, whose true goal is not the Cheongyup clan. Master Ho Jianggak insults Wukong, who calmly notes that he's the first person to do so. The master asks what he means by the first. Wukong smiles cruelly, informing him it's the first in the order to die. Wukong and his companions stand ready as Master Ho Jianggak walks forward to confront them. Master Ho Jianggak lunges forward, launching a powerful attack. Wham! Wukong effortlessly stops the charging master with a single outstretched hand. Grabbing the stunned master's face, Wukong asks why he is staring. Wukong declares he doesn't like the man's expression and casually shoves him away. The master is sent flying back by a powerful blast of energy. He crashes to the ground, scattering the other Black Force warriors in a heap. Master Ho Jianggak realizes with horror that Wukong is a master far beyond his ability to defeat. Sweating, he doubts that even the 4 leaders attacking together could win this fight. In a desperate move, he orders his men to ignore him and attack Wukong's companions instead. The woman and Wu Jing watch as the master plots to fight in a way that avoids a direct loss. The Black Force warriors charge toward the Namgung Clan members behind Wukong. Wukong smirks, asking if they plan to take hostages, since they aren't confident enough to beat him. The woman draws her sword, preparing to defend her people from the oncoming charge. Wu Jing also draws his blade, identifying their tactic as typical for the Black Forces. Wukong beckons to the four leaders, nonchalantly inviting them to come and face him. His hand glowing with red energy, Wukong claims his non-killing principle only means he'll generously bill them for their evil deeds. His ki erupts into the terrifying form of a giant, venomous snake. As Wukong calmly channels his power, the Black Dragon Bang Master prepares to defend himself. Wukong rises, promising to let them live on like dead mice. A flashback begins, taking the story to a desert leading to India hundreds of years ago. A younger, bloodied Wukong pants, with exhaustion in the harsh landscape. He stands defiantly, his eyes glowing with power from beneath a scarf. He stands victoriously atop a massive slain beast as his master and companions look on. His master looks at him disapprovingly, calling Ogong cruel for a practitioner of Buddhism. His master asks how he can wear such a face, as a close-up reveals Wukong's demonic, blood-soaked visage. Wukong argues that he only killed a monster that tried to eat his master, insisting it wasn't a worthless killing. Confused and angered by his master's scolding, he grits his teeth in frustration. His master notes that while other monsters cry in fear, Wukong shows no such weakness. As Wukong glares back, his master wonders if he is the king of monsters. In the past, Wukong brutally smashes two demons with his massive staff. Wukong furiously thinks that if it weren't for the golden headband restraining him, things would be very different. A younger, bloodied Wukong glares defiantly, gripping his staff with feral intensity. His master looks on in silence, his expression one of clear disapproval. A pig-like companion questions Wukong's ferocity and wonders if the master's scolding is a new occurrence. The master calls Wukong's actions absurd, acknowledging self-defense but stating the monsters were merely trials on their path. When his master declares his methods were wrong, a shocked Wukong points accusingly, unable to understand. Wukong retorts that when it comes to killing, he is far superior to his master. He shouts that this is his way, fueled by his uncontrollable anger. The four companions stand amid the desolation and carnage of the recent battle. The master, with hands in prayer, calmly asks Wukong to explain the origin of his deep-seated anger. He probes further, asking if the anger stems from being hated by heaven, given a lowly position, or trapped by Buddha under the Five Elements mountain. Wukong visibly flinches, shaken by his master's perceptive questions. With a chilling, blood-splattered smile, Wukong asks his master if he has a family. He explains that he was born of heaven and earth, and therefore has no parents. He adds that he once had a family, but most of them died. With anguish and fury, Wukong reveals he hunted down and killed everyone responsible with his own hands. His master stands in silence, taking in the painful confession. The master asks if Wukong has lived a life of cruel anger ever since that tragedy. Wukong covers his face, unable to respond. To Wukong's complete shock, his master praises him, saying he did well. The master explains that he too would have been unable to contain his anger if his family were harmed in such a way. He reframes Wukong's vengeance, not as cruelty, but as an act of mercy that saved others from future suffering. He reminds his followers that they are not yet Buddhas, and this journey is part of the process of becoming one. The master thanks Wukong, recognizing he fought with the same ferocity he used to avenge his fallen monkey brethren. Gently placing a hand on his shoulder, the master smiles and tells Wukong, "I was your family." Tears stream down Wukong's face as he finally feels understood, a moment that marks his path to becoming a Buddha. Back in the present, Wukong gestures to the four Black Force leaders, nonchalantly inviting them to come in. His hand glows with red energy as he claims his non-killing principle still applies. He then clarifies with a cruel smirk that he'll simply let them live on like dead mice. Wukong takes a powerful step forward, his energy swirling around him. The leaders stare in terror, overwhelmed by his power, as one stammers, "TH." At Master Ho Jangok's command, the Black Force warriors charge, ignoring Wukong to attack his companions. The Namgung woman and Wu Jing intercept the charge, clashing with the enemy soldiers. Two warriors believe they have cornered Wu Jing, moving in for the kill. Wham! The woman blocks a sword strike meant for Wu Jing, saving him just in time. She tells Wu Jing to stay close, promising to protect him. Despite the battle, her gaze is fixed with worry on Wukong. She watches as Wukong, now surrounded by the four leaders, is engulfed by his own swirling red energy. One of the Black Force leaders marvels at the condensed energy Wukong is about to release. The leader glances at his three companions, knowing the odds are 4 against 1. He wonders how Wukong will possibly handle them all as the blonde warrior prepares his attack. Pao Wukong's punch collides with the sword, the impact shaking the battlefield. He effortlessly parries and blocks the other leader's attacks with his bare hands. The masters are in disbelief, questioning if he possesses a diamond body to block swords, and urge each other to look at his hands. Wukong smirks, saying he'd love to play but is simply too busy right now. The leaders stare back grimly, steeling themselves for the next move. Wukong stands confidently, his hands now wreathed in roaring flames. Master Ho Jungak bellows, enraged by his opponent's arrogance. He asks if Wukong is the dunghead who crippled a member of the Qingyup clan, to which Wukong notes it's a first for him. With a fiery fist ready, Wukong confirms, "Yes, you're the first," as he faces the furious master. Wham! Wukong unleashes a devastating fiery punch, completely engulfing the master in a massive explosion of power. Wukong's fiery fists land in a relentless barrage, pummeling Master Ho Jiangak with dozens of explosive strikes. The master is thrown back by the onslaught, tumbling helplessly across the ground in a crushing defeat. In a blur of motion, Wukong systematically dismantles the other three leaders with his flaming attacks. Another master leaps in to attack, but Wukong effortlessly dodges as the ground trembles from the force. He sends the last leader crashing to the ground, leaving a trail of defeated warriors in his wake. From the perspective of a downed foe, Wukong's next explosive attack fills the entire sky. The remaining Black Force warriors can only stare in abject terror at the complete and utter devastation. The woman watches in awe, realizing Wukong's martial arts are far greater than she imagined. Even after seeing him capture the Bloody Iron Ghost, she makes a firm decision. She absolutely must not turn him into an enemy. Wukong stands calmly amidst the broken and defeated bodies of the 4 Black Force leaders. The woman resolves to do whatever it takes to make Wukong an ally of the Namgung family. She realizes Wukong could have easily killed them all, but chose not to, recognizing it as a form of Buddhist mercy. Wukong tells the defeated men to spend the rest of their lives eating temple food and repenting. He demands to know if they understand, his expression deadly serious. Master Ho Jiangak suddenly screams, clutching his head as a blue soul seems to leave his body, crying that he's dying. Wukong frantically tells him to get a grip, insisting that he can't really die as his companions watch in confusion. The swords of the Black Force warriors fall to the ground, a symbol of their complete surrender. Under his overwhelming strength, the remaining warriors stand disarmed and defeated before the burning headquarters. Shaking the master, Wukong desperately pleads with him not to die because of one person's actions. Wukong thinks to himself that as a Buddha, he must avoid killing unless facing a truly evil being, and clenches his fist. Phew. Wukong sighs in relief, having apparently saved the man, who slumps to the ground, exhausted but alive. The master angrily demands to know who Wukong is, and Wukong agrees it's only polite to answer. The defeated master glares intensely, waiting for Wukong's response. As Wu Jing wonders about a strange light, Wukong prepares to reveal his true identity. Wu Jing dramatically announces that Wukong is none other than the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong, much to Wukong's annoyance. Wu Jing grins, expressing relief that he didn't see anything embarrassing, as Wukong turns away with a look of irritation. Wukong announces he will leave the cleanup to the Namgung family. He turns and walks purposefully toward the inferno, declaring he's going inside the building first. Announcing he can't let the Chongyup members get beaten up, he rushes into the fire, where a battle already rages. Inside the inferno, 2 powerful blades clash with a deafening clang. The muscular warrior Hanamdo sends a Chongyup clansman flying with a single devastating swing of his massive sword. The determined Chongyup clan leader stands his ground, ready to face the powerful intruder. The leader lunges forward, sword at the ready, to engage Hanamdo. He strikes, but Honamdo vanishes, leaving only an afterimage before reappearing behind him with a sinister smile. Wam Honamdo lands a brutal blow, sending the Cheonggyeop leader hurtling through the air. The two warriors clash again in a furious exchange of sparks and steel. The Cheonggyeop leader thinks that while he didn't fight in the war, he's heard rumors of this formidable enemy. He identifies his opponent as Honamdo of the Sama Alliance, while Honamdo mockingly calls his footwork pathetic. As their blades lock, the Cheonggyeop leader realizes with grim certainty that he cannot win this fight. Despite the overwhelming odds, he grits his teeth, knowing he cannot back down. Looking at his fallen clansmen, he reaffirms his duty to protect his people and not let their deaths be in vain. He plants his foot, resolving to put his life on the line right here and now. Gathering all his remaining energy, the leader prepares to unleash his final desperate attack. He surges forward, knowing he can't win, but determined to make his stand. With a face of pure, unyielding resolve, he prepares for the final clash. Screaming that he'll take an arm with him, he pours every last ounce of strength into his attack. He roars with desperate fury, channeling all his power into his sword. Their blades meet in a maelstrom of golden energy, shaking the very foundations of the burning hall. Honamdo meets the desperate charge with a look of casual, almost bored, superiority. The Cheonggyeop leader grits his teeth, pushing forward with all his might against an immovable foe. The Cheonggyeop leader's blade shatters against Honamdo's overwhelming power. Defeated and broken, the leader collapses to the ground before his victorious foe. Suddenly, Honamdo's expression turns to shock as he senses a new presence. The ground is a wrecked crater, testament to the sheer force of the final blow. A sword tip emerges from the fiery smoke, as a voice coolly asks, "What do you think?" Wukong stands before the fallen leader, mockingly announcing that the protagonist has arrived. He wonders if Honamdo let his guard down while stepping nonchalantly over a defeated warrior. Standing protectively, Wukong commends the fallen leader for holding out so well against Honamdo. His eyes glowing with intent, Wukong sizes up his opponent from behind the massive blade. With a flash of fire, Wukong launches a powerful kick that sends Honamdo flying. The shockwave of the impact sends the unconscious Cheonggyeop leader tumbling away. But Honamdo digs in, gritting his teeth as he manages to grab Wukong's leg and stop the attack. Wukong stands amidst the carnage, coldly remarking that all deaths are pre-written destiny. He glares at Honamdo, asking if killing all these men brought him any satisfaction. When Honamdo demands to know who he is, Wukong reveals he's the one with the meteorite iron. Honamdo asks if he killed the bloody iron ghost and demands the iron, but Wukong refuses to return it. Wukong pauses, sensing something strange about his new adversary. He observes that although Honamdo is human, he possesses a profoundly eerie aura. Honamdo finally understands, looking at his own hand as a dark energy begins to swirl around it. His eyes glowing an unnatural blue, Honamdo fully reveals his sinister power. The two warriors explode toward each other, their energies colliding in a massive blast. Wam Wukong blocks a vicious punch, their powers clashing in a violent stalemate. A predatory smile creeps across Wukong's face as he wonders how long it's been since he had a fight like this. The battle rages, a chaotic dance of punches, kicks, and stabs within the inferno. Wukong dodges and weaves through Honamdo's attacks, clearly enjoying the thrill of combat. He smiles fondly, the fight reminding him of the old days when he rampaged across the heavens. Gathering his power, Wukong prepares to unleash another devastating fiery attack. As his companions join the fray, Wukong relishes the chaos, declaring that it's fun. He gracefully spins away from a heavy swing, moving with effortless speed. Honamdo catches him off guard, using his immense strength to slam Wukong to the ground. Springing back to his feet with a manic grin, Wukong again declares that this fight is fun. He notes the strange coincidence that Honamdo, like the bloody iron ghost, is a reincarnated monster. Wukong lands a crushing blow, shattering the energy blade Honamdo was wielding. Honamdo's glowing eyes narrow, his focus sharpening in the heat of battle. Pressing his advantage, Wukong follows up with a brutal, fiery kick. The force of the attack sends Honamdo tumbling helplessly through the air. On his knees and beaten, Honamdo realizes Wukong couldn't have defeated everyone alone. He speculates that a higher-up or a whole group must be behind this. Wukong's fists glow, as he furiously accuses Honamdo's group of stealing Sanzang's soul. The raging inferno intensifies, mirroring the battle's ferocity. Within moments, their fight escalates toward its explosive climax. Two opposing energies slice violently through the air, heading for a final collision. Their powers meet in a blinding flash of red and blue light. As they struggle, Wukong's glowing eyes perceive something beyond the physical clash. He sees the streams of their energies, his red and Hanamdo's blue, locked in a spiritual battle. In that instant, Wukong understands the source of the discomfort he felt earlier. He realizes it was a reaction to the immense evil karma radiating from his opponent. Giving in to his instincts, Sun Wukong unleashes his raw, hostile emotions. A brilliant pillar of fiery golden energy erupts around him, but he recalls his master's lesson, a reminder to control his emotions and become the master of himself. Wukong flashes a wide, chilling grin, his amusement turning predatory. Wham! He lands a powerful blow, sending a shockwave through Hanamdo's body. With fiery hands, Wukong shouts that his opponent's head must be made of stone. He begins to playfully narrate his attacks, calling out a left-to-right hook. Effortlessly dodging, Wukong continues to taunt Hanamdo, calling out his next move. Hanamdo roars in frustration, demanding Wukong shut his mouth so they can fight properly. Wukong laughs, questioning why they should fight to the death when it's all for fun, before continuing his mock commentary. Slap! Wukong casually smacks Hanamdo across the face, treating the fight like a game. The powerful warrior stands stunned by the humiliating blow, facing Wukong's flaming hands. Hanamdo reels, completely thrown off by the casual disrespect of the attack. Slap! Wukong strikes him again, his barrage of taunts now turning physical. Stumbling back, Hanamdo is left completely speechless by the humiliating onslaught. Wukong erupts in manic laughter, thoroughly enjoying his opponent's utter confusion. He lectures Honam not to call himself an evil sect, mockingly telling him to be more righteous. Clenching his jaw, Hanamdo resolves to seal his lips and finally fight seriously. Suddenly, his eyes widen in disbelief as he asks, "What?" Hanamdo questions the sudden, unexpected attack hitting him from the side. He's pummeled by a flurry of attacks from multiple directions at once. Stunned, he realizes Wukong's speed and power have suddenly increased 3 times over. Wukong moves like a phantom, closing the distance in an instant. Hanamdo is shocked that even with his protective energy activated, the searing pain from the blows doesn't decrease at all. Wukong knows this fight was decided from the very beginning. As another devastating blow sends him flying, Hanamdo finally admits to himself, "I can't win." Wukong prepares to end it, unleashing a powerful energy blast. Kneeling in defeat, Hanamdo summons his remaining energy as Wukong looks on with curiosity. Wukong recognizes the technique, realizing Hanamdo is using the same power as the Bloody Iron Ghost. Hanamdo gathers his chilling blue energy, preparing for a final stand. Massive inferno erupts from Wukong's position. Their opposing energies collide in a devastating explosion that engulfs the battlefield. Wukong calmly observes the aftermath, noting how large his opponent's energy field has become. He turns his back, surveying the widespread destruction caused by their clash. Wukong realizes that with his opponent's energy centers so wide open, his soul should be clearly visible. He activates his special sight, the fiery eyes and golden gaze. Peering into his enemy's soul, Wukong asks what he was in his past life. His glowing eyes analyze the soul's features: bulging muscles, a bushy beard, and a grotesque smile. In a flash of memory, he sees this very being standing over the bodies of his slaughtered monkey brethren. He identifies the soul as Hunsei Mawang, the demon king responsible for the massacre. Wukong understands that his primal nature was reacting to this ancient enemy. He now knows the true reason for the unconscious discomfort he felt from the start. The terrible memory overwhelms him, and he clutches his face in anguish. His expression shifts to one of cold, absolute fury as he declares, "I've got you now." Hanamdo swings his massive energy sword down with all his might. Wukong effortlessly stops the colossal blade with a single glowing fist. With focused rage, he unleashes a relentless barrage of fiery punches. He thinks back to their first encounter, a memory burned into his soul. Boom! His fist meets the blade, shattering the air with its force. Hanamdo sweats, straining under the unbelievable pressure of Wukong's attack. Wukong's hands blaze, as he vividly recalls the day his family was slaughtered. He remembers his brutal vengeance, how he tore apart each piece of flesh. The vision of his past self, a furious god of vengeance, consumes him. Hanamdo reels in shock, his face bloodied from the unrelenting assault. Wukong lands a brutal, fiery punch, his rage from the past now fully unleashed. A second, explosive punch connects, shattering the air around them. A third blow lands with devastating force, a blur of motion and raw power. Wukong's glowing fist signifies that even after hundreds of years, some things are not forgotten. In a flash of memory, he sees himself as a young king on his throne, surrounded by his adoring monkey subjects. The pain of that long-lost time fuels his present fury, his fist glowing with vengeful energy. He unleashes a torrential onslaught of fiery blows, driving Hanamdo back with overwhelming force. Hanamdo roars in agony, his face a mask of pure terror and pain. Wukong gracefully dodges as his massive opponent is sent crashing to the ruined floor. He drives a final, furious punch downward, channeling all his rage into the blow. Hanamdo's broken body lies motionless on the ground, covered in blood. A vision of his master appears, his serene expression a stark contrast to Wukong's rage. Wukong remembers his master's lesson. He must not let his emotions control his mind and body. A final massive explosion of power erupts from the impact point. The ground is left shattered and smoking from the force of the final blow. The fiery energy slowly dissipates, revealing the aftermath of the battle. His hand still glowing, Wukong gently touches the hair of his defeated foe. Standing over the fallen Hanamdo, Wukong calmly states that he is not one to be swayed by mere anger. With his rage now controlled, Wukong stands victorious over the unconscious warrior. He gazes at his glowing fist, contemplating a fitting name for the technique he has just created. Looking at his defeated foe, he thinks of it as a technique for demons, destroyed by another demon. A slight, satisfied smile crosses his face as he resolves to name his new martial art. He decides to call it the Demon Destruction Technique. Wukong stands alone over Hanamdo's body amidst the smoldering ruins. His expression is cold and somber, the fury of battle having finally subsided. The woman and her followers from the Namgung Clan finally arrive at the scene. Seeing the devastation and Wukong standing over the body, she mistakenly assumes he is the infamous leader of the Black Path practitioners. When she asks if he is a famous villain, her men confirm that his infamy is indeed widespread. The narration describes Hanamdo's devastating injuries. His energy center is broken and his body is fractured. Despite his catastrophic wounds, he is somehow still clinging to life. Wukong looks on in confusion as the woman begins to explain their actions, claiming they didn't use trickery to take business rights. She justifies their presence by stating they saved the Blue Heroes Guild from being destroyed by villains. She concludes that the guild will have to transfer their rights to the Namgung Clan to rebuild, framing it as a necessity. The woman looks determined, having set her clan's plan in motion. Wukong turns away with a smirk, smugly announcing that the situation has been successfully resolved by him. In just one day, the entire power structure of Anhui province has been turned upside down. The chaos is a direct result of the collapse of the Blue Heroes Guild, a major regional power. News of the guild's shocking downfall spreads like wildfire among the populace. Townsfolk gossip about the events, concluding that the Namgung Clan heroically stopped the evil martial artist schemes once again. However, one man clarifies that he heard it was a mysterious guest disciple who defeated Hanamdo, sparking intrigue and disbelief. An old man passionately speaks of this powerful guest disciple, with Wukong's imposing figure looming in the background. As rumors about Sun Wukong spread, the scene shifts to a grand estate. A summary explains that the Namgung Clan, Blue Heroes Guild, and Initial Nature Gate are all in flux after the incident. Rumors suggest the Initial Nature Gate was absorbed by the evil Tiger Star Gate sect. In a meeting, the Namgung Clan proposes an offer to buy the Blue Heroes Guild's rights at a fair price. A clan elder nods in agreement, seeing it as a way to forge a friendly relationship with another righteous sect. This political maneuvering helped dilute the Namgung Clan's harsh reputation for being more vicious than the evil sects. Meanwhile, Wukong leisurely relaxes on a large rock under a tree, enjoying the pleasant weather. As he rests, someone approaches from behind, questioning his leisurely attitude. The woman from the Namgung Clan explains she had to visit Master Sun, as he was the key to their success. The woman from the Namgung Clan approaches Wukong with a serious expression. Wukong continues to relax with a contented smile on his face. He playfully denies being a fortune teller, claiming his success was merely good luck. As the woman somersaults over him, Wukong reports that Honamdo remains silent in prison despite torture. The woman asks Wukong if he knows Honamdo, but he remains silent and contemplative. Wukong admits he holds a personal grudge against Honamdo, surprising the woman. She muses that the martial world is full of grudges, suspecting a deeper story behind his animosity. The woman watches as Wukong stands, his back to her, ready to depart. Wukong announces he'll go see Honamdo soon, and the woman quietly agrees. As she leaves, Wukong sits alone in the tranquil garden, his leisurely break now over. His eyes narrow with cold intent, his playful demeanor completely gone. He swiftly gets to his feet, his mind set on the confrontation to come. Wukong enters a dark prison cell, demanding the beaten Honamdo tell him what he knows. Honamdo grits his teeth, describing the raw, overwhelming power he felt from Wukong. Wukong questions the nature of Honamdo's aura. He sternly demands to know the identity of Honamdo's mysterious organization. Honamdo challenges him, asking if Wukong isn't the same kind of being as they are. Wukong scoffs at the offensive comparison, and Honamdo seizes the moment to invite him to join their cause. Honamdo speaks of a new world that their leader will create. He presses further, asking why Wukong sides with humans when they are kindred spirits. Wukong scowls in disgust, cryptically stating some beings are human in appearance only. The battered Honamdo sits in grim silence, his body chained and broken. Wukong realizes that these beings may not even be aware of their past lives as demons. He has a flash of insight, wondering if his master suspects the same truth. He realizes his master is subtly guiding them to understand the nature of their enemies. Wukong demands to meet their leader, envisioning a powerful silhouetted figure. He declares that only by meeting the leader can he decide which side he will choose. Honamdo says their leader is too busy to be met, but offers a condition. Wukong must bring the meteorite iron as a sign of his intent. Honamdo reveals there is someone who can meet the leader multiple times. A tense silence falls between the two adversaries as Wukong considers the proposition. Wukong scoffs, wondering if Honamdo really believes he can be persuaded by such a simple ploy. Honamdo asks if Wukong is trying to spare his life, noting that with his energy center destroyed, he's no longer a threat. Wukong thinks to himself that there is no fear in sacrificing oneself for a great cause. Wukong explains his philosophy comes from his master and his own past as a Buddha, but he is also something else. He prepares to strike, declaring that Honamdo is just like the snake blood iron ghost. Honamdo's eyes whiten in terror as he realizes his fate is sealed. The scene shifts to the ornate meeting room of the Namgung Clan. The clan elders debate the recent events, with one declaring it an attack on all righteous sects. An elder argues against acting rashly, while another insists on immediately exterminating the Black Path practitioners. A clan member bursts into the room, desperately calling for the Hall Masters. He breathlessly announces that Master Sun has killed their prisoner Honamdo. The elders are stunned, realizing Wukong killing a prisoner on their territory could become a serious problem. The woman from the Namgung Clan grows worried. Understanding the situation has become far more complicated. Wukong stares into the distance, coldly stating that Honamdo deserved his fate. He calmly takes a drink, his grim task completed. The woman watches from afar, shocked to see the ever-smiling Master Sun wear such a somber expression. She realizes that, like her, Wukong harbors a deep grudge against the evil martial artists. She concludes that avenging a grudge is the martial world's ultimate justification, a motive stronger than any other. She decides there is no need to hold Wukong responsible for the killing, at least not for now. The woman concludes that she and Sun Wukong share the same goal. As Wukong sips his drink, she clarifies their shared mission, pursuing the remnants of the evil martial artists. Wukong glances back, commending her for her astuteness, which seems to surprise her. She explains that she, too, lost family to the evil martial artists and wouldn't have been able to contain her anger either. She justifies his actions, stating that killing Honamdo actually saved others from suffering at his hands. Wukong listens with a deadly serious expression, his golden eyes fixed on her. A memory of his master surfaces, acknowledging Wukong's uncontrollable anger over his family's fate. With his hands in prayer, the master gently reminds him that they are not Buddhas. Therefore, he concludes, They don't need to act like Buddhas. The woman from the Namgung clan offers a faint, understanding smile. Wukong appears momentarily stunned by her profound empathy. As a white dove flies past, Wukong stands alone in the garden, contemplating recent events. A small, white owl lands on a rock, reporting that it observed the woman, Manhwa, as instructed, and asks for Wukong's assessment. Wukong tells the owl that unlike himself, the real Sun Wukong can see past lives. The owl confirms it was just checking. He ponders the link between the fierce warrior Manhwa and the crying monk, suspecting a string of fate connects their seemingly opposite personalities. He realizes that to see Manhwa's past life, they must lower her mental barrier by getting close to her. Wukong asks the owl for its power, and it proudly declares itself a mountain god in its domain before being tasked with guarding Manhwa. He explains that if she is the monk's reincarnation, her body will collapse if her soul remains separated for too long. Wukong gives his final order: take urgent measures if needed and report back immediately, which the owl eagerly accepts. He watches it go, reflecting on how helpful the creature has been, especially in catching Honamdo. The scene shifts to a dark forest, where the terrified owl asks Wukong if he has come to eat it. The owl desperately claims it doesn't remember anything, but Wukong grins, promising to make it remember. Convinced the owl isn't lying about its missing memories, Wukong wonders what powerful being could seal the memories of a land god. Wukong stands over the trembling owl, addressing it sternly in the dark woods. He commands the owl to report any extraordinarily strong individuals in the area, and after a moment of defiance, the owl agrees. The little owl, with a tear in its eye, trembles and pledges its obedience. The scene transitions to a bustling city street teeming with people. In a desolate, web-covered alley, two suspicious figures confer in cloaks. From the rooftops above, the white owl watches the two hooded men intently. The owl reports back to Wukong, who listens with a sly smile while looking out a window. Wukong explains to an older man that he was wondering how to catch the suspicious men when the Namgung clan requested his help. He surmised that the men were from the same group as the snake blood iron ghost and would surely react to the meteorite iron. He reveals his plan to use the meteorite iron as bait to lure both the Blue Heroes Guild and the suspicious figures into a trap. Wukong turns his attention back to the owl, asking for a description of the man who escaped from Anhui province. The owl describes a man with a long neck, slanted eyes, a black lump by his nose, and an overwhelmingly strong demonic aura. Wukong realizes the description matches the person Honamdo mentioned, then orders the owl to continue watching Manhwa. As he formulates a plan to find the monk's soul, a man approaches from behind, and Wukong turns to greet him. Wukong addresses the man as Wujing, telling him he has some tasks for him. Wukong asks about the Tiger family, and Wujing confirms they are the survivors of the Black Path faction. Wukong tasks him with finding the connection to Honamdo, while Wujing notes the Namgung clan is busy with business and the Dragon Phoenix meeting. Wukong questions what the Dragon Phoenix meeting is, and Wujing explains it's a gathering for the successors of the 5 great clans. He adds that it's an important event, as the clan leader's son and niece are returning for it. It will also serve as the inauguration ceremony for the Namgung clan's young master. Wukong scoffs, dismissing his interest in such formal events. He looks down upon a lavish banquet, calling such gatherings childish play. At the Tavern of 10,000 Fragrances, guests praise the splendid scenery and excellent food. Wangbo Young of the Huangbo clan smirks, commenting on the Namgung clan's impressive skill in taking over the Blue Heroes Guild's business. Namgung Muyong of the Namgung clan sternly announces that it's time for them to leave. Namgung Seowol of the Namgung clan pouts, bored by the drinking party and wishing for a sword fight. Peng Gekon of the Hebei Peng clan leans forward, inquiring about the Namgung clan's mysterious guest disciple. A woman at the banquet gossips about the rumored Golden Prince, swooning over his handsome golden hair and eyes. She is identified as Zhuge Seo of the Zhuge clan. As Wukong enters, Zhuge Seo spots his golden hair and realizes with a start that the rumors must be true. Wukong strides confidently through the hall, his imposing presence silencing the crowd and drawing all eyes to him. The woman from the Namgung clan, Namgung Muyang, and another man watch Wukong's entrance with serious expressions. Zhuge Xiaxia whispers with a friend, realizing the handsome guest disciple is the important person who was given the exclusive building. The scene shifts to a bandaged old man, introduced as the grim-faced tiger family leader, Hu Jiangak. Hu Jiangak meets with Wukong, grudgingly accepting that he must bow to this young man, whom the Namgung Clan is using to control the Black Path. Wukong confirms his assessment. Wukong reminds Hu Jiangak that he spared his life, leaving him as the only obedient Black Path faction left in Anhui. Wukong questions Hu Jiangak about his meeting with Hanamdo, learning it was at a gathering meant to unite the Black Path practitioners. Hu Jiangak admits he would have fought Hanamdo to the death, but someone else's presence stopped him. He reveals that an old man accompanied Hanamdo, a figure whom even the powerful Hanamdo seemed to obey. Wukong asks if the man had a lump by his nose, startling Hu Jiangak, and explains he needs to cross-verify the information. Hu Jiangak recalls the old man's terrifying power, describing how he slaughtered a dozen men with a single gesture, forcing all to submit out of fear. Wukong asks why he dared to confront him. Then, Hu Jiangak admits he sensed no aura and mistook Wukong for a powerless clown. Wukong cheekily flips off the elder, who seems baffled by the gesture, and scoffs at his claim of seniority. With a menacing grin, Wukong declares he has lived longer than all the elder's ancestors combined, radiating an overwhelming aura. Hu Jiangak stares in absolute shock and terror, his face pale from the sudden revelation of Wukong's true nature. Hu Jiangak immediately prostrates himself, apologizing for his rudeness, while Wukong commends his quick actions and good sense. Kneeling, Hu Jiangak asks what Wukong wants from him, and Wukong notes his quick wit must be how he survived so long. Wukong explains he needs the Tiger family's cooperation to investigate matters in Anhui, specifically to find the monk's soul. He declares his first move, taking complete control of the region's information network. Hu Jiangak nervously questions if the Namgung Clan would approve, but Wukong dismisses him, stating he's a guest, not their underling. Wukong smirks, revealing he's already set a stage and that they are about to arrive, leaving Hu Jiangak confused. A man bursts into the room, furiously confronting his father, Hu Jiangak, for refusing to hand over the Tiger family's leadership. The furious son, backed by his men, declares he's come to forcefully claim what he believes is his. As the son and his faction enter, a shocked Hu Jiangak wonders how they got there, while Xiao Wujing stands by Wukong. Wukong gives Xiao Wujing a knowing look, coolly commenting that the challenger arrived quite quickly. Hu Jiangak begs Wukong for help, but Wukong calmly replies that this is the stage he has prepared for him. With a wicked grin, Wukong instructs the Tiger family leader to trust only him and go out to fight. Wukong's intense gaze reinforces his command, "Just trust me and go fight." Cornered by Wukong's manipulation, Hu Jiangak turns to face the challenge from his son and his followers. Hu Jiangak internally despairs, wondering why the monster who beat him senseless is now ordering him into another fight. He concludes with dread that this mysterious young man is far worse than any of the Black Dao villains he's ever known. Wukong coolly suggests Hu Jiangak channel his determination into dealing with his unfilial son's power grab. Remembering the brutal beating from Wukong, Hu Jiangak grimly concludes that fighting his own son is the safer option. Resolving himself, he decides to face his son, drawing his sword with renewed determination. The son mocks his father, surprised he managed to gather supporters in the few days since he fled. Hu Jiangak furiously rebukes his son, shouting that he won't be defied while he still lives. Pa-ak! The son attacks, but Hu Jiangak dodges, and the sword smashes into the floorboards. Hu Jiangak steadies himself, recalling a long-held saying of the martial and criminal underworlds. He muses that only a fool stays still for a flying sword, realizing his son plans to defeat him publicly. The son draws his own sword with a sneer, mockingly offering to send his father to a better place to recover. Hu Jiangak glares, ready to fight to restore the authority of the Black Dao's Ho village. The son lunges, taunting his father about his past defeat when he attacked the Chongyor sect. Hu Jiangak grunts as he parries the powerful blow, holding his ground. As father and son clash, the narration explains that Black Dao battles are not decided by skill alone. The narration clarifies that the son's spirit is dominant, while the heavily wounded father is barely staying on his feet. Hu Jiangak curses his son, who coldly responds with a simple "ah." Wukong suddenly appears, casually sitting on Hu Jiangak's sword mid-fight and critiquing his form, leaving the old man utterly stunned. Wukong smirks, telepathically coaching the old man, step left, then slash vertically. Guided by Wukong's voice, Hu Jeonggak moves with newfound speed and precision against his son. The father and son lock blades, their fierce battle continuing in a flash of steel. Kong. Their swords collide with incredible force, the impact reverberating through the hall. Following Wukong's commands, Hu Jeonggak evades and counters with moves he's never used before. Wukong berates his clumsy footwork, barking a new string of commands to step back and thrust. The son is stunned, realizing his father's movements have completely changed from what he was taught. He wonders if his father was hiding techniques from him as they continued to clash, Wukong observing coolly. From his seat, Wukong continues to dictate the fight, ordering Hu Jeonggak to block, turn, and stab. As Hu Jeonggak fends off another attack, Wukong screams at him to move properly or die. Hu Jeonggak trembles as he feels an overwhelming sensation for the first time in 60 years. It is the pure, exhilarating sensation of his sword dancing through the air. An awe-inspired, almost manic grin spreads across his face as he fights. The son's followers watch in disbelief, stunned that their old clan leader is still so powerful. A follower marvels that he can move so fluidly despite his critical injuries. Hu Jeonggak finally understands, realizing this newfound power is Wukong's way of helping him. Piyok. He lands a powerful, decisive blow, sending his son reeling backwards. The son grins with a crazed look, acknowledging his father's unshakable strength. With his son defeated at his feet, Hu Jeonggak's dominant figure projects the image of a true ruler. A powerful blue aura surrounds Hu Jeonggak as he stands victorious, his authority re-established. The challenger's supporters can only stare in wide-eyed shock at their leader's defeat. Hu Jeonggak acknowledges that Wukong is a master beyond his comprehension and a sharp tactician. Wukong smiles smugly as Hu Jeonggak concludes he is even more dangerous than Honamdo. With the battle won, Hu Jeonggak stands over his kneeling son before his followers. The clan leader announces their return to the manor, and his men readily agree. One of his son's men helps the defeated young clan leader to his feet. The son seethes, enraged that he was just moments away from controlling the entire Black Dao of Anhui. Huck, unwilling to accept defeat, he hurls a hidden weapon in a final, desperate attack. Kang Hu Jeonggak expertly deflects the projectile with his sword. The son's followers are astonished that he managed to block the surprise attack. The commotion draws the full attention of the guests at the nearby banquet. His followers panic, realizing the dire implications of attacking in front of such important guests. Wang Boyong recalls an old warrior's saying about fools who stand still for flying swords. The followers gasp in terror, realizing the projectile was aimed at the guests. A woman at the banquet asks a concerned Huang Boyong if he is all right. He assures her he is fine. The scene reveals the flying weapon nearly struck the table of the great clan representatives. Hu Jeonggak sweats, knowing he should bow to the 5 great clans but hesitating. He fears losing his newly reclaimed authority, leaving him and his followers in a terrifying bind. Hu Jeonggak turns and walks resolutely toward the guests' table. Wang Boyong rises, chiding them for their unseemly family quarrel in front of guests. A righteous clan member declares their reckless swordplay among civilians is intolerable. Irritated by the lack of an apology, Huang Boyong was planning to be generous but reconsiders. He grips his sword, interpreting their silence as a deep insult. Pa'at. He leaps forward, launching a furious sword strike at Hu Jeonggak. Hu Jeonggak raises his sword to defend himself, realizing another fight is unavoidable. Wukong suddenly appears between them, effortlessly catching both of their blades barehanded. The members of the Huangbo clan stare in shock as Wukong stops the attack. Namgung Muyong and Namgung Seowol are equally stunned by the incredible display. Sweating in terror, Huang Boyong realizes he is no match for this man. Wukong smirks, coolly asking if it's polite to swing a sword before talking things out. Wukong effortlessly holds the blade, his mastery evident to all. Wukong explains that as a guest disciple, he's on a job for the Namgung clan, and since Hu Jeonggak is part of it, he must not die, offering to apologize on his behalf. Terrified by Wukong's power, Huang Boyong realizes the chasm in their skill. Huang Boyong nervously accepts the situation, stating he understands completely and won't interfere with the work of a Namgung guest. He recalls that the Namgung clan's guest disciples are known for their extraordinary abilities. Staring at Wukong, He concludes that an incredible master has indeed joined their ranks. A young man with long, dark hair steps forward, paying his respects to the Namgung Clan's new guest disciple. He introduces himself as Namgung Muyong, the eldest son of the Namgung Clan, standing alongside Namgung Seowol and their retainers. Wukong stares back, looking unpleasantly surprised by the formal greeting. He facepalms, utterly exasperated by the stuffy formalities. Namgung Muyong and his group look on, baffled by Wukong's strange reaction. Turning his back on them, Wukong walks away from the awkward encounter. Elsewhere, Shugaseo soaks in a bath, complaining that the so-called friendship gathering is a bore. She sinks into the water, letting out a frustrated sigh as a headache sets in. A formidable clan leader speculates that the Namgung Clan intends to use the Dragon Phoenix meeting to unite the 5 great clans and solidify their leadership. This meeting will also serve as the martial world debut for Namgung Muyang and Namgung Seowol. Meanwhile, the ambitious Huangbo clan, having grown stronger, is rumored to be vying for the top position among the 5 clans. Zhuge Seoseo muses on which of the powerful clans her own Zhuge clan should align with. She consoles herself by noting she befriended the cute Seowol, whose pure heart is interested only in sword fighting. The scene transitions to the moonlit Namgung Clan estate. Wukong sits alone on a bridge, lost in thought under the night sky. He stands, taking a drink from a flask while contemplating his next move. A black cat appears as the spirit of an old man materializes, greeting Wukong after a long time and identifying himself as Tai-Bai Golden Star, Zhang Jing. Wukong smiles, recognizing Zhang Jing as a great patron who helped him countless times on his journey. He recalls his past, when he caused great chaos in the Heaven Realm. He remembers Master Zhang Jing as the most magnanimous and respected person in the realm. The cat, speaking with Zhang Jing's voice, explains it appeared to warn Wukong that there is an uproar in the Heaven Realm because of him. Wukong is confused, protesting that he has been behaving himself in the mortal world. Zhang Jing reveals that Yama has filed a complaint against Wukong for annihilating 2 souls. Wukong realizes with a jolt that they're talking about the souls he destroyed earlier. He angrily argues that those souls were evil reincarnates who deserved their fate, and as a Buddha, he couldn't let them be. Zhang Jing calmly reminds him that judging souls is the job of the underworld, implying Wukong overstepped his authority. The cat notes Wukong's unshakable confidence as expected, then passes on a message from the Supreme Elderly Lord to take better care of his possessions. Zhang Jing reveals fragments of the 7-star sword are now loose in the mortal world due to the Supreme Elderly Lord's mistake, promising to convey Wukong's message. Promising to return in a few days, the cat fades away in a shower of golden sparks. Wukong laments that even a great master like Zhang Jing is limited to speaking through a cat's mouth, disappointed he couldn't get more direct help. As he kneels in thought, Namgung Muyong and Namgung Seowol approach him. Namgung Muyong offers a slight smile, while Namgung Seowol maintains her usual stoic frown. Wukong looks up, clearly annoyed at being interrupted again. Muyong begins to address him as Great Warrior, but Wukong corrects him to use Master Sun, an instruction Muyong accepts before stating he's there to offer thanks. Namgung Muyong formally thanks Wukong for resolving their issues with the Blue Heroes Guild, the Snake Blood Iron Ghost, and Honamdo. Wukong sighs, realizing their gratitude probably comes with another request. Muyong quickly insists he isn't trying to force him into anything. A tense energy crackles between Wukong, the Namgung siblings, and the resentful Huangbo clan leader. A fiery aura connects Wukong to the 2 Namgung heirs as they stand before him. Wukong realizes he must get close to these 2 kids to break a mental barrier and discover their past lives, a small black cat now peeking from his robes. Muyong spots the cat as he and Seowol stare, and Wukong grimaces, wondering how he's supposed to befriend them. Namgung Muyong formally invites Wukong to attend the upcoming Dragon Phoenix meeting as an observer. A sly smile plays on Wukong's lips as he considers the invitation. Standing to face them, Wukong senses this will be a long conversation. The memory of the Snake Blood Iron Ghost and Hanamdo flashes, a reminder of the powerful foes he has already dealt with. Namgung Seowol thoughtfully considers her desire to have fought the recent enemies herself. Wukong looks over at Namgung Muyong, who asks how he managed to win against such foes. Namgung Seowol declares she wants to spar, leaving her brother and Wukong surprised as she calls out his name, Seowol. With a confident grin, Namgung Seowol formally challenges Wukong to spar with her. As the definition of sparring appears, Wukong listens with a serious expression. Namgung Muyong scolds his sister for her impolite and stubborn demand, but she simply repeats her challenge to Wukong. Wukong decides it wouldn't be a bad idea to get closer to Namgung Seowol on this occasion. Wukong agrees to a simple spar without going all out, while Muyong again chides Seowol for her rudeness. Wukong casually holds up the black cat, dismissing the fight as just playing with a kid. Namgung Seowol raises her glowing sword, declaring that this is fighting. Wukong grips a metal rod, retorting that it's just like having fun. Wukong recalls her question about the snake blood iron ghost and Honumdo. She remembers wanting to know what kind of fighters they were, as images of the defeated foes flash. A fiery aura surrounds Wukong as he points forward with a smirk. He repeats her words, "You said you wanted to fight." Wukong holds up a small blade, offering to show her what kind of opponents she missed. A flashback shows the menacing snake blood iron ghost and Honamdo. Surrounded by a powerful red aura, Wukong points confidently at his opponent. The spar begins as Namgung Seowol dashes forward, leaving her brother behind. Wukong easily evades her attack, appearing as multiple afterimages. She analyzes his every move, from his breathing and footwork to his sword swings. Kakang Wukong easily parries her sword strikes with his simple metal rod. Namgung Muyong watches in disbelief, shocked that Master Sun is blocking Seowol's attacks with just a piece of metal. He marvels at how relaxed Wukong is while facing Seowol's full power. He's stunned, wondering if Master Sun's skill could be similar to their own father's. Wukong swiftly disarms Seowol in a flurry of movement. Pa'ak, he deflects her wrist and sends her stumbling back. Seowol unleashes a series of rapid sword techniques, but Wukong easily dodges them all. HMPH. She grunts in frustration, a blush of exertion on her face. Wukong compliments the Namgung Clan's martial arts before preparing for his next move. He suddenly attacks, shouting commands for her to move her left leg and step aside. She is pushed back by his momentum, realizing she needs to retreat and find an opening. Pa'ak, Wukong appears right in front of her, shattering the ground with his arrival. Seowol is shocked as Wukong grins down at her. Their weapons clash with intense force. The narration explains that martial arts are applied differently by each practitioner. Martial arts are said to change in the moment according to experience and the situation. Namgung Muyong wonders if Wukong has seen through the very essence of their clan's fighting style. The narration muses on the core principles of martial arts, questioning how secret techniques could exist if they were so easily discerned. Wukong studies Seowol's movements as she attacks a training dummy in the past. He notes that her movements are slightly different from someone named Muwa's, but similar enough to understand. He unleashes a powerful blast of energy. Stunned, Seowol questions if his attack is a, quote, penetration force. She realizes it isn't, as the inner energy doesn't pass through her sword, but the impact is still devastatingly real. The narration states that Namgung Seowol, though stubborn, acutely realizes she is being completely overwhelmed but won't admit defeat. She presses forward, believing that the strong aren't always the winners. Knowing that even an iron wall has flaws, she continues her attack. Wukong is suddenly taken aback by an unexpected development in her attack. Her eyes glow as she unleashes an intense killing intent. Wukong realizes with surprise that she's using real killing intent in what was supposed to be a simple sparring match. Wukong realizes her killing intent is genuine, meant to truly stab and kill. The intense killing intent backfires on Namgung Seowol, causing her to stagger. Plop. She collapses to her knees, defeated, as Wukong and her brother watch. Wukong is impressed, noting how fierce her sword's killing intent was. Blood trickles from her mouth, but Namgung Seowol glares defiantly from the ground. Namgung Muyong rushes to his sister, explaining that her own energy rebounded, causing an internal injury. Wukong casually dismisses the incident, saying such things happen when you're just playing around. He observes Seowol, noting her sharp technique and recalling she's the daughter of the previous Namgung Clan leader, which piques his curiosity. A title card introduces the previous clan leader, the legendary sword god Namgung Jincheon. Wukong recalls that members of the Namgung Clan were evasive about Jincheon's whereabouts, claiming he was away for training. He speculates that Namgung Jincheon is likely dead, and the clan is hiding it to avoid showing weakness. Back in the present, Namgung Muyong interrupts his thoughts. and Wukong admits he was lost in contemplation. Wukong advises Namgung Clan that while her competitive spirit is good, she shouldn't look so frustrated. Wukong gives her a knowing, almost condescending smile. Namgung Clan agrees to arrange a meeting with the clan leader for Wukong. Wukong bids them farewell until tomorrow, casually holding the black cat as he departs. Namgung Clan stares after him, her expression a mixture of contemplation and resolve. The next day dawns over the magnificent Namgung Clan estate. The Namgung Clan leader laughs, having heard the story of Wukong's spar with his daughter Xiaowol. He thanks Wukong for agreeing to observe the Dragon Phoenix meeting, saying his presence is very reassuring. Wukong calmly sips his tea before making his move. With a sharp look, Wukong declares that since there's a give, there must also be a take. The clan leader smiles, acknowledging that he expected a request and appreciates Wukong's directness. Agreeing that a favor deserves a return, the clan leader asks what Wukong requires. Wukong says that while he wants something, the mortal world holds little of value, so he will ask anyway. Wukong makes his stunning request. He wants to learn the martial arts of the clan leader. The request hangs in the air, leaving the Namgung Clan leader and his son momentarily speechless. A sly smile spreads across Wukong's face as he specifies he wants the Namgung Clan's secret martial arts. The clan leader's expression turns deadly serious at the incredibly audacious request. The tense silence continues as the three sit at the table. Namgung Clan is shocked, thinking how an outsider could dare ask for the arts reserved for the direct bloodline. The clan leader thinks to himself that if anyone but Master Sun had resolved their recent crisis and then made such a request, a life-or-death battle would have already begun. He concludes that the request is impossible, as Wukong is not a Namgung heir. Wukong cheerfully changes the subject, asking for their finest hidden wine instead. He continues, offering to act as a wine connoisseur and evaluate it for them. Yang watches in disbelief, calling Wukong unpredictable, and feeling relieved his father seems to be playing along. The clan leader firmly grips the hilt of his sword. Namgung Clan watches with growing alarm, wondering what his father is planning. Xing, the clan leader, draws his sword, pointing it at Wukong across the table. Wukong meets his intense gaze without a hint of fear. The clan leader's eyes burn with intensity as he presents the blade. In a fiery vision, he recalls his past as a simple swordsman. He remembers standing on a mountain of vanquished foes. He reflects that his greatest problem was his hasty temperament, always drawing his sword first. A dark, ghostly image of his former self looms, a specter of his past violence. He remembers facing the stern judgment of his own clan elders. The clan leader tells Wukong he is a strange and difficult person to judge. He breathes out, having made a difficult choice. Turning to a shocked Muyang, his father declares he will teach Wukong, and Muyang should watch as a preview for when he becomes leader. The Namgung Clan leader informs Wukong that only his clansmen see the Changgongmue sword, but Wukong dismisses the warning as an honor he has little to say about. Chuckling, the clan leader, Master Sun, insists it's no joke that only Namgung members can witness their secret sword technique. He gravely explains that every outsider who has ever seen the Changgongmue sword died the moment they laid eyes on it. Unfazed, Wukong smiles and suggests it might be better to just get a drink. The clan leader clarifies that one can become a person of the Namgung Clan without sharing the surname, citing Law Hall Master Manhwa as an example. Wukong smirks, realizing the clan leader has a sly, manipulative side. He understands the man's hidden meaning. Witnessing the sword would make him an undisputed ally of the Namgung Clan, but it also serves as a fierce warning. If he becomes an enemy after seeing it, he must die. Wukong recalls his old master, a monk who also showed slyness, managing to win over his companions while feigning innocence. Wukong assures the clan leader that as long as the Namgung are not his enemy, he will not make them one, and the leader accepts his word. With the agreement made, the clan leader draws his sword, knowing this solidifies their bond beyond that of a simple guest. Their intense gazes meet, signaling their relationship has now been elevated to a formal alliance. The clan leader focuses his energy, preparing to demonstrate his clan's signature technique. Namgung Jinbek isn't worried about showing his peerless martial arts, knowing that simply seeing a technique doesn't mean one can replicate it. He unleashes a colossal wave of energy, a feat the narrator describes as impossible, but only for humans. Wukong grins, enveloped in his own divine power, proving he is something more. As dusk falls, Wukong and Ojong stroll through the clan's main courtyard. Wukong smiles contentedly after the day's events, while Ojong accompanies him with a pensive look. Wukong says the wine was great, mentioning it was Gujing tribute wine, and Ojong asks what kind it was. Ojong is flabbergasted, complaining he missed out on such a famous wine, but Wukong says it was only decent compared to what's available in the Heaven Realm. Wukong fondly recalls pouring the wine down the serious clan leader's throat, amused by his flustered reaction. Tiesk. Ojong sighs, calling it a shame he missed the fine wine. As Ojong asks where they're headed, Wukong leads the way, saying he's taking him to a drinking party with the younger generation. They look out over a vast, lively gathering, with Wukong commenting on the impressive scale of the Namgung Clan's party. Wukong instructs Ojong to drink with the attendants below while he joins the young masters, and Ojong agrees. Wukong approaches the party, observing that everyone seems to be gathered and drinking together. A smug man in purple robes welcomes Master Sun for a drink, passive-aggressively commenting on the rudeness of guests taking the main seat. Wukong deflects, stating he's not comfortable drinking with young friends and putting the host on the spot. Namgung Muyang and an orange-haired girl step in, reminding the rude host that Wukong is a guest disciple, and there is no problem. Meanwhile, another man asks Ojong if he serves Master Sun, but Ojong clarifies he is also a guest. The man notes his Dharma name, Xiao Wujing, and asks if he's from Shaolin. The man turns his attention from Ojong, asking about Master Sun's status. Wukong explains he was asked by the Namgung Clan to monitor the event on their behalf. Wukong gives Ojong a task. To earn his keep, he must go probe the 7 attendants from the Huangbo clan for information. Ojong is already at work, questioning the attendants on how they ended up with the Huangbo clan despite not being martial artists. Wukong watches approvingly, musing that Ojong is quite useful but that he only ever seems to form bad connections. Using his divine sight, Wukong sees the faint red strings of fate connecting him to the 7 attendants and decides to investigate their identities. Wukong senses the purple-robed man watching him, realizing he is connected to him by bad karma. He glances at the man from the Huangbo clan, who is enjoying a snack, knowing he brought the ill-fated attendants. The man scoffs at Wukong's tales of cloud somersaults, dismissing him as more of a storyteller than a warrior. He smugly thinks that, while Wukong seemed perceptive earlier, he's now getting sloppy and talkative while drunk. He judges Wukong as nobody special, and believes the others at the gathering are the same. His internal assessment continues, identifying the observant Zhuge Seoseo and the thoughtful Peng Jikan. The scene transitions, noting that other hard-to-understand figures are also present. The focus shifts to 2 of those figures, Namgung Muyang and Namgung Seowol. The observer notes that even now, Seowol is glaring at Wukong, still fixated on their previous spar. He analyzes her as a stubborn person, obsessed with martial arts, whose killing intent is tremendous. He mentally reviews the guests, eliminating several candidates in his search for the mysterious monk. He then analyzes Muyang, noting his transparent expressions and polite attitude mask a solid inner core despite his weak appearance. Having made his observations, Wukong walks away from the party, leaving Muyang standing alone in the quiet courtyard. Muyang looks up at the night sky, a thoughtful and slightly flushed expression on his face. Muyang walks with Wukong, reflecting that recent events have lowered his mental barriers. He recalls how sparring with Namgung Seowol brought them closer together. Looking at Wukong, he now wonders if he should try to get closer to him as well. The scene shifts to a grand building in the Namgung Clan compound at night. At his desk, the clan's intelligence hall master, Namgung Cheonyong, is introduced. He considers the upcoming Dragon Phoenix meeting and the delegation being sent by the Martial Arts Alliance. He gazes out over the sprawling, brightly lit clan estate. The scene returns to Muyang and Wukong standing in the empty street. Muyang looks up with a blush, thinking that now there is finally hope. He remembers how their clan's trade connections were severed, causing great hardship. A flashback shows the clan members' despair as their efforts failed to produce results. But now, with a shower of golden coins signifying their success, they have regained their reputation and business rights. In the present, Muyang faces Wukong, his mind racing. He reflects on the clan's struggles and realizes Wukong, a hidden master, has arrived with a clear purpose that he must remember. Muyang is impressed and wary, realizing Wukong instantly gained the Namgung clan's trust. He formally asks Master Sun for his help. Muyang thinks Wukong doesn't fully grasp the situation, believing his skill at plotting isn't the real issue. Musing that Wukong has disarmed everyone with goodwill, Muyang asks why the clan leader would ask him to be an observer. Wukong explains it takes a great master to watch other masters, and his outsider status gives the clan deniability. Muyang states his preference for honesty, then probes deeper, suspecting there's more to the clan leader's plan. Wukong slyly asks Muyang to consider the implications of an outsider like him joining the event as an observer. Muyang stares in stunned silence as he begins to understand the deeper strategy. Meanwhile, the intelligence hall members wonder if they can uncover the identities of suspicious guests. Wukong continues his thought, questioning if the intelligence master's team will be able to identify the suspicious attendants. He reveals to Muyang that the cunning clan leader is using him as bait to conduct a separate, covert investigation. Muyang asks why Wukong is being so honest and willing to help. Wukong states plainly that he wants to build genuine trust with the Namgung Clan. Though Muyang knows he should be wary of such a dangerous man, he feels something else. He is struck by a familiar and comfortable feeling as he stands with Wukong. Feeling as though he's reunited with an old friend, Muyang vows to do his best. He can't help but feel a strange and powerful pull toward Master Sun. Elsewhere, a large bearded man asks Ojang if he enjoyed the boisterous drinking party. The man says Ojang enjoyed himself but kept glaring, and notes his energy sensitivity has improved to have felt it. Ojang admits he was just guessing, then asks if the man discovered anything strange about the attendants. The bearded man confirms his suspicions, revealing all 7 of them are from the How Gate. He explains they aren't a dark sect, but an organization of information brokers who operate like a martial arts sect. Wukong concludes that if their identities were discovered so quickly, the Huangbo clan must already know, and suspects an alliance. The bearded man wonders if the How Gate is connected to an even larger, secret organization. Wukong dismisses the idea, saying bad karma from a past life doesn't prove a current conspiracy and that more investigation is needed. The next day dawns brightly over the Namgung Clan's mountain estate. The reclusive Sichuan Tang family finally arrives, a day late after skipping the drinking party. With their arrival, all 5 great clans are now officially gathered in one place. The Dragon Phoenix meeting officially begins with a grand banquet in the main courtyard. An elaborate spread of food is laid out on the banquet tables. 2 clan elders observe the festivities with stern, calculating expressions. Muyang and the younger generation watch solemnly, understanding the joyous occasion is a facade. The event is, in reality, the Namgung Clan's calculated display of power before the younger generation of martial artists. From his throne, the clan leader presides over the event, asserting his clan's dominance. A group of courtesans enters the hall to begin their performance of song and dance. A beautiful red-haired courtesan begins an enchanting dance for the assembled guests. The younger men in the audience watch the performance, completely captivated. While a man marvels at the courtesan's graceful attitudes, Ojang stares in shock. As Wukong watches with sharp, analytical eyes, a voice asks if he finds the dance attractive. Wukong recognizes the voice transmission and glances toward the clan leader on his throne. The man from the Huangbo clan explains that the courtesans were brought by them from Shandong province. He boasts that they are the finest courtesans in Shandong, notoriously difficult to book. He continues, explaining that these courtesans are likely using fascination techniques similar to seductresses. The man notes with interest that Master Sun doesn't seem surprised by this revelation. Wukong silently compliments the man's insight, impressed he could read his expression so well. The man admits he is just guessing, but asks Wukong to investigate the courtesans, assuring him the Namgung clan will cover for him. Wukong playfully challenges him before smirking and agreeing to do it. Wukong turns his full attention to the courtesans, his gaze fixed on their performance. He smirks, cryptically remarking that he can smell the anger from here. The man in purple robes toasts to the friendship of the great clans as the courtesans kneel before him. The crowd claps enthusiastically, praising the 7 beauties of Shandong and noting their immense fame. Wukong observes that most are oblivious to the fascination techniques and inwardly sighs that Sha Wujing is useless outside of water. The man from the Huangbo clan interrupts the festivities to announce they will now present a sword dance. The crowd murmurs in anticipation, realizing this is a display of martial might, not just entertainment. Wukong grabs some popcorn, musing why humans resort to posturing instead of just fighting. Understanding it would be impolitic to refuse, Namgung Jinbak accepts the challenge with a cool expression. As the courtesans begin to play their instruments, the mood shifts. The Huangbo clan's young warriors draw their swords, which glow with a faint blue energy. To the sound of the courtesans' music, the warriors begin their synchronized sword dance. The Namgung elders watch the display with stern, calculating expressions. The Huangbo representative, Huangbo Yang, smirks with confidence at his clan's display of power. Ozhang, confused by Wukong's earlier comment, asks him what he means. Wukong dismisses the sword dance, noting the warriors have power but average skill, as they are all just teenagers. He explains the subtext. The Huangbo clan is flaunting its abundance of young talent to suggest a brighter future than the Namgungs. Wukong smirks, having fully grasped the political maneuver at play. Huangbo Yang gloats internally, confident that his clan's youthful roster ensures a brighter future than their rivals. Faced with Huangbo Yang's blatant provocation, Namgung Jinbak simply offers a gentle, unbothered smile. The courtesans continue their performance, their music filling the courtyard. Suddenly, the dynamic shifts. It is no longer the sword dance leading the music. The narrative reveals that the music is now leading the dance, its rhythm controlling the swords. As the music swells, a young Huangbo warrior struggles, his movements becoming frantic and uncontrolled. Ah! Ozhang shouts in alarm, pointing and warning everyone to watch out. A young warrior stares intently at his sword, which moves against his will, sparking with energy. He fights to regain control, his expression one of pure, desperate focus. Gasp! The Huangbo clan members look on in confused horror as their warriors lose control of the dance. A clan elder screams as the situation spirals into chaos. The orderly performance collapses as the young warrior's formation breaks apart. The sword dance descends into a dangerous, uncontrolled frenzy. As Ozhang panics, Wukong casually eats, musing that he expected the courtesans to be used to seduce the Namgung. Instead, he realizes with surprise, the courtesans are the ones controlling the Huangbo clan. Wukong's eyes narrow as he watches the 7 women, confirming his suspicion that they are the cause. He sees the red strings of fate connecting the struggling warriors to the seemingly serene courtesans. Wukong looks up, contemplating the vast and unpredictable nature of the world. Still eating, he wonders if this entire convoluted plot isn't a bit much. He reflects on the constant strings of fate he sees, now noticing a white one connecting him to Ozhang. Wukong contemplates all the people he has met, including someone named Wu Jing in the Namgung family. He also recalls his defeated foes, Sahyol Iron Ghost and Honamdo. Even the disciples of the adversarial Huangbo clan are part of this tangled web. He wonders why Avalokitesvara guided him to the Namgung clan to meet these past connections again. He questions what the divine being saw in her vision of the future. His question echoes into the cosmos, seeking an answer. Wukong's thoughts grow complicated as he sips his drink, trying to decipher the Bodhisattva's intentions. He dismisses his worries, deciding such deep thoughts don't suit his nature. He simplifies his mission: find Samjung, find the soul, and return it. With renewed resolve, he decides to face whatever comes his way head-on. He believes this is the only way he can uncover the truth. Elsewhere, a man in purple robes is startled by a sudden development. He tries desperately to hide his panic, but his expression betrays his fear. A Huangbo clan representative formally apologizes to Namgung Muyang for a grave and inexcusable mistake. Juge Seoseo observes, thinking that if Namgung Muyang had been killed, war would have erupted, and no Huangbo affiliates would have survived. The Huangbo clan members look on in terror, understanding the severity of their near-fatal error. Jugseoseo muses that even though it was unintentional, it can't be ignored, as the martial world respects the strong over the lenient. She concludes that even the so-called righteous sects operate by this harsh rule. Namgung Muyang lowers his head, acknowledging the dangerous life they all lead. The narration questions the perilous existence these warriors have chosen. Namgung Muyang calmly states he accepts the apology from the Huangbo clan's representative. The Huangbo clan members sigh in collective relief. The Huangbo representative begrudgingly accepts the outcome, knowing he cannot openly fight here. Zhuge Seoseo wonders if Muyang's leniency will be perceived as a sign of his rumored weakness. However, Namgung Muyang declares he is still a martial artist and won't simply laugh off a direct threat. Stepping forward, he formally requests a duel with Lord Huangbo Yang, representative of the Huangbo clan. In response, Huang Boyong draws his sword to accept the challenge. The Namgung Clan leader observes that a duel is not an issue, as it's a standard part of the meeting. Huang Boyong accepts the duel, reasoning it's better to fight Muyong than the undefeated Seowol. Namgung Muyong stands ready in the dueling arena before the assembled clans. Huang Boyong recalls their past duels, noting they have exchanged wins and losses before. Namgung Muyong reflects that the rumor of his weakness isn't entirely false, believing his opponent's politeness stems from a guilty conscience. Huang Boyong glares intensely, ready for battle. Wham! The two warriors clash in a powerful explosion of energy. Namgung Muyong identifies his opponent's technique as the Huangbo family's Thunderquake sword art, a combination of speed and force. Their swords meet in a fierce, sparking confrontation. Huang Boyong grunts, struggling under the immense pressure of Muyong's blade. An observer notes that the Namgung family's sword style is known for pouring all its strength into powerful attacks. The narration explains that while the Namgung style is fast, known as the Flash Thunder 13 swords, its core essence of power remains. Muyong embodies this principle, focusing all his energy into his gleaming sword. He unleashes a massive blast of energy shaped like wings, overwhelming his opponent. Namgung Muyong lands gracefully, his attack concluded. Whack! The blow lands squarely on Huang Boyong's chest. Staggering backward, Huang Boyong is thrown off balance by the powerful strike. He looks up in disbelief, stunned by Muyong's calm expression after such a devastating attack. He stares at Muyong's impassive face, unable to comprehend his composure. Enraged by the casual display of superiority, Huang Boyong asks, "Do you think I'm a joke?" He grips his sword with renewed determination. Resolved, he decides he must now show his true power. With his disciples and siblings watching, he knows he cannot accept this humiliation. Consumed by rage, Huang Boyong lets out a furious, distorted scream. He declares that he represents the honor of the entire Huangbo family. Wham! He unleashes a desperate, frenzied attack against Namgung Muyong. Their swords clash in a chaotic flurry as the duel intensifies. Namgung Muyong analyzes his opponent's now rough and sloppy slashes, deciding not to retaliate with the same brute force. He realizes that matching this aggression will lead to fatal injuries for one of them. Knowing this would damage his family's goal of unity, Muyong resolves to end the match swiftly. Muyong coolly asks if his opponent's excitement has gone too far, enraging Huang Boyong even more. Elsewhere in the crowd, Wukong wrinkles his nose, complaining about a terrible stench. The camera focuses on the back of Namgung Seowol, highlighting her presence. Wukong pinches his nose, confirming the stinging smell of blood fills the air. From an onlooker's perspective, the high-speed duel continues in a blur of strikes. Juge Xiaoxiao watches with concern, thinking that Huang Boyong is being foolishly reckless. Realizing he's using genuine killing intent, she panics, knowing how dangerous even a common criminal becomes when fighting to kill. Huang Boyong's expression contorts with malice as he prepares a truly dangerous attack. Seeing no other option, Namgung Muyong resolves to meet killing energy with killing energy. Their final attacks collide in a brilliant, explosive clash of power. Both Huang Boyong and Namgung Muyong wear expressions of intense, grim determination. From a wide view, the duelists face off as the crowd, including Wukong, watches. Chu Wukong sneezes loudly, wondering aloud where pollen is coming from. The sudden sound breaks the tension, and a stunned Huang Boyong realizes he has crossed a line. Huang Boyong sheathes his sword, admitting he got too excited, and formally acknowledges his defeat to Namgung Muyong. Muyong gracefully accepts, stating it was a good match from which he learned a lot. As the two opponents walk off the dueling ground, Wukong watches them thoughtfully. Muyong reflects on how a sudden sneeze interrupted him right as he was about to unleash his own killing intent. He questions if the sneeze was just a coincidence, as it broke his opponent's rhythm at the perfect moment. The dueling grounds are shown again, the moment of interruption hanging in the air. Muyong ultimately dismisses his suspicion, deciding it must have been a coincidence after all. He concludes that it would be impossible for anyone to anticipate such perfect timing. Wukong sips his drink, internally remarking on how stubbornly and frustratingly his opponent used killing energy. As Muyong walks away, a ghostly, divine-looking image of Wukong appears behind him. Wukong takes another slow sip from his cup, his eyes following the events with knowing calm. Later that night, Wukong and Wu Jing walk through the estate grounds. Wu Jing objects to Wukong's plan to visit the courtesan's quarters, warning him that those women were brought by the Huangbo clan. Wukong instructs Wujing to stand guard, clarifying that he isn't there for pleasure, but to investigate something suspicious. He reveals he's not alone in his suspicions, as a woman in blue, fighting gear approaches from behind. Wukong suggests they investigate together, startling the newly arrived woman. Wukong then changes his mind, telling the surprised woman from the Namgung Clan that he will go in alone. She expresses her concern, asking if he understands the potential danger inside. He brushes off her worry, revealing the clan leader secretly asked him to investigate, which makes her understand the situation. She realizes he was being considerate by telling her, a Namgung clan member, to stay out to avoid escalating conflict with the Huangbo. She offers to stand guard and catch anyone who escapes, but Wukong surprises her by saying to let them go. With a look of resolve, she decides she will follow them instead. Wukong flashes a sly grin, pleased that they have come to an understanding. He confidently strides down a dark, elegant hallway, heading toward his destination. As he walks, he notes that a particular fragrance has grown much stronger. He bursts into a room, interrupting a group of people at a dining table who look up in confusion. The narration explains the overpowering scent is something not even the Huangbo guards could withstand, as dazed individuals are shown with glowing red eyes. A red-eyed woman and the defeated Sahil Iron Ghost look on in a stupor. Wukong addresses Honamdo, coolly remarking that while life seems enjoyable, their despicable behavior hasn't changed at all. The red-haired woman looks on with concern, reacting to his identification of them as vile creatures. A furious Honamdo, his eyes glowing red, confronts Wukong, demanding to know why he is being so rude. Tiesk, Wukong thinks with disgust that even a skilled swordsman can be manipulated by a woman's smile. Wukong concludes they are not in their right minds, but completely ruled by lust. Overcome with rage, Honamdo shouts a frantic apology to Master Sun. Wham! Honamdo lunges, but Wukong effortlessly sidesteps, sending the other dazed men flying with the aftershock. Reeling from the display of power, Honamdo furiously orders his entranced followers to attack. Wukong stands calmly as the mind-controlled men close in, their faces fixed in eerie smiles. Bam! Wukong unleashes a flurry of strikes, effortlessly dispatching the approaching mob. He stands victorious over the fallen men as the courtesans watch from the back of the room. The red-haired woman and her companion stare in shock, asking in disbelief why this is happening. Wukong casually waves his hand through the air, wondering why the bewitching fragrance has no effect on him. The red-haired woman looks on. As narration explains, she used a potent fragrance that no man should be able to resist. Wukong's eyes narrow with intensity as he declares he will get the answers he seeks. He coldly warns her to answer his questions if she wants to leave with her limbs intact, stating he sees her identity now. Suddenly, a terrifying giant spider demon with multiple masked heads looms behind the frightened women. A title card reveals them as the Seven Spiders, and Wukong asks why they used the Huangbo clan to approach the Namgung, to which she cryptically replies that he must already have a guess. Wukong studies her, noting that while she isn't giving a straight answer, she isn't completely avoiding the question either. A glowing seal appears on the woman's forehead, as Wukong realizes she is under some kind of magical constraint. Kneeling before him, the women listen as Wukong asks if they are working with Honamdo's group. The red-haired woman desperately denies any connection, explaining they are part of a much larger, independent organization and that she has no desire to die by his hand. A tense silence falls over the room as Wukong processes this new information. She explains that, unlike Honamdo, her people do not possess such excessive loyalty. Wukong listens intently, his expression thoughtful. He then reveals he knew from the moment he entered that there was one more person hiding in the ceiling. A ninja-like figure in blue peers down from a hidden hatch in the ceiling. Wukong smirks, realizing the hidden operative is now fleeing to request help from their superiors. The blue-clad figure dashes away at incredible speed. Wukong reveals that the messenger is already being followed by one of his own people, as the Namgung woman gives chase. As she speeds through the forest, Wukong notes that he has strong allies on his side as well. Wukong stands with his arms crossed, watching over the kneeling women. He recalls the name the Seven Spiders of Bansha Valley, musing that it brings back old memories. Later, in a forest, a new pig-faced companion named Zhu Bajie asks if Wukong left all 7 demons alive at the hot spring. Wu Jing suggests they rescue the kidnapped monk now that they know his location, but Wukong disagrees. Wukong looks grim, wondering how many more humans such powerful demons will devour in the future. Zhu Baji agrees, declaring they should kill the demons first and rescue their master afterward. Wukong callously dismisses their concerns, stating his only mission is getting the monk to India and he doesn't care about the demons. Declaring he'll handle it himself, Zhu Baji leaps away to kill the demons. Wu Jing watches him go with an unimpressed expression. Wukong tells Wu Jing to go find the monk, but Wu Jing questions sending their second brother alone, calling him a foolish pig. Wukong smiles, reminding Wu Jing that, for all his foolishness, he was once the marshal of the heavenly canopy and can handle a few demons. As Wukong tells him not to worry, Wu Jing clarifies that wasn't his concern. Wu Jing asks for confirmation. Were they female demons and were they bathing naked? Wukong confirms. Wu Jing's face falls as he understands Zhu Bajie's true motivation, questioning Wukong's trust in him. Realization dawns on Wukong, who grits his teeth in frustration and yells that they have to follow him. Wukong and Wu Jing race through the woods in pursuit of their wayward companion. A furious shout echoes through the trees. "Hey, you damn bastards!" Crash Wukong slams his staff down into a hot spring, interrupting Zhu Baji, who is surrounded by bathing women. The impact sends the women flying through the air in surprise. Wukong glares with monstrous fury, identifying the culprits, spider demons, and Zhu Baji. Wukong scoffs, disgusted that Zhu Baji was so easily fooled by the demons. The red-haired demon realizes she cannot win a fight and must negotiate with Wukong to survive. She resolves to offer him favorable terms, knowing her life depends on it. Wukong agrees to talk, suggesting they have many stories to share throughout the long night. Wukong reflects on how easily the Huangbo clan was seduced, calling the demons truly bewitching creatures. The narration describes the alluring features of the red-haired demon, highlighting her otherworldly beauty. Declaring he isn't a fool like Zhu Baji, Wukong bluntly tells them to stop wasting his time and knocks one of the women out. Realizing he accidentally hit a sleep pressure point, Wukong frantically tries to wake the unconscious woman as the others watch in shock. The red-haired demon scolds him, explaining that a botched pressure point strike can cause an agonizing death from blocked meridians. Annoyed, Wukong threatens to use his clumsy technique on her, and she screams in terror. The red-haired demon explains that while she has immobilized her sisters, there is no one left to do the same for her. As a sinister grin spreads across his face, she realizes with dread that Wukong intends to do it for her. Wukong cheerfully claims to be a fast learner, leaving the terrified woman to wonder if she will survive the ordeal. Later, Wukong and Wu Jing stand outside the building where the demons are being held. Wu Jing steps forward and asks Wukong how his interrogation went. Wukong looks away with a stern, grim expression, not answering. Wham! Wukong viciously kicks Wu Jing, sending him crashing to the ground. As a new man with a top knot arrives, he asks Wu Jing to identify a How Gate member, and Wu Jing confirms he recognizes the face. The top knot man explains he couldn't chase the enemy because their lightness skills were too fast. Wukong orders the man to guard the neutralized courtesans, kill them if necessary, and says he will follow the Law Hall Master. Pointing to the sky, Wukong confidently states that he already has a guide. The top knot man looks up, surprised to see a lone bird flying against the full moon. A white owl swoops down from the sky, eagerly offering to escort the great sage. Wukong instructs the owl to serve as a guard for Manhwa, and the loyal bird happily accepts the mission. Wukong smirks, reflecting that the manipulated Honamdo has proven to be quite useful after all. The scene shifts to a hidden, untouched cave deep within a remote mountain range. Inside the cavern, two mysterious cloaked figures sit facing one another. One of the figures, an old master, questions why the Blade Mountain realm is operating in Anhui, far outside their home province. He continues his inquiry, asking why the giant skeleton realm is also causing trouble in Anhui, but the other figure dismisses it as business. The master chastises his subordinate for the sloppy operation that resulted in Honamdo's death and needlessly angered the Namgung Clan. A title card identifies the stern elder as the Nine-Brain Old Master. The Nine-Brain Old Master scoffs that the Namgung Clan won't fall for their schemes, as his subordinate doesn't know who is truly there. When asked if he means the clan leader or the sword god, the master reveals an unexpected guest, the great sage equal to heaven. The subordinate bursts into derisive laughter, asking if his master has finally gone mad for believing such a tale. The nine-brain old master glares, coldly asking if he looks like someone who tells lies. His subordinate is revealed to be the 100 Eyes Demon General, his red eyes glowing with malice. The 100 Eyes Demon General recalls that his own king always reacted with strong emotion at the mention of the great sage's name. Accused of doubting their great king, the general insists he does not, but explains the king has been learning terrifying demon arts. A vision shows a powerful figure surrounded by an aura of blue demon arts. The general expresses concern over the king's obsessive tendencies, prompting the master to ask if he thinks the king is mad. The general speculates the great sage is merely an illusion born of the king's inner demons, but the master insists their king has no such weakness. The nine-brained old master sharply tells the 100 Eyes Demon General to stop talking nonsense and to cease his disrespectful glaring. The general declares that while the master makes excuses, he has been busy building their foundation through the Hao and Huangbo clans. He dismisses the master's concerns, stating the weakened Namgung Clan is no threat and no longer his business. The 100 Eyes Demon General declares he will handle the Namgung Clan himself and tells his master to simply stay back and watch. The master clenches his teeth in fury as the general's red eye gleams with defiance. A soldier rushes into the cave, frantically reporting that the 7 beauties of Shandong are in terrible danger. The two leaders turn in alarm, and the master demands to know what happened and who is threatening their agents. Splat! The messenger gasps as a blade erupts from his chest, silencing him forever. Splat! The woman in blue stands over the slain messenger, coolly observing that this gloomy place is perfect for schemers. The 100 Eyes Demon General snarls, recognizing the arrival of the Namgung Clan. Drawing her glowing blue sword, Manhwa reveals she is also the underworld messenger. The 100 Eyes Demon General glares, his hatred for the Namgung Clan burning in his eyes. He scoffs, questioning if the Namgung Clan is still a threat now that the sword god is gone. At his command, a squad of masked assassins swarms toward Manhwa. Manhwa leaps into action, effortlessly weaving through the attacking assassins. Watching the battle, the nine-brained old master announces that with their other operation exposed, the giant skeleton realm will retreat. The 100 Eyes Demon General mocks his master as a coward, who only analyzes things and wastes time searching for sword fragments. Standing over the defeated assassins, Manhwa points her sword forward, daring the general to face her. Enraged, the 100 Eyes Demon General lunges forward, vowing to crush the Namgung Clan himself. He brings his sword down in a fiery, powerful strike aimed directly at Manhwa. Nearby, Wukong casually lounges while his owl companion asks why he isn't helping, stating that watching fights is fun. The owl asks the great sage for his plan, and Wukong says he'll watch for a bit before stepping in himself. A flashback shows the Lahal master easily dispatching weaker opponents in a flurry of blows. The narration explains that against such weak foes, her true skills remained hidden. Wukong watches with a critical smirk, noting to himself that Manhwa shouldn't be holding a sword. The fight rages on as Manhwa unleashes a torrent of blue energy strikes against her opponent. Manhwa grits her teeth, wondering if the Huangbo clan has truly gone mad for aligning with such dangerous schemers. Their blades collide with explosive force, shaking the battlefield. The 100 Eyes Demon General grimaces, forced to honestly admit that this woman is stronger than he is now. Manhwa's gaze remains fixed and determined as the fight intensifies. He seethes, unable to believe that he, a commander of an entire city, is being bested by a single Namgung Hallmaster. Sent reeling, he grudgingly accepts that the Namgung clan is still a formidable power. Manhwa steels herself for the final clash, knowing she cannot retreat now. She skillfully parries another ferocious attack from her opponent. The 100 Eyes Demon General realizes, with a grimace, that the Namgung clan possesses a hidden power he hadn't anticipated. He concludes that he is fighting a latent master. Manhwa's focus sharpens, her sword glowing with concentrated power. The general wonders how powerful she could become if subjected to the Great King's procedure. As a sinister green energy gathers in his hand, he declares that he's looking forward to finding out. He unleashes a massive blast of green demonic energy directly at Manhwa. His eye transforms, becoming reptilian as he channels his power. Manhwa stares in wide-eyed shock at the overwhelming surge of force. Wah! The demonic energy erupts, sending her flying through the air. Stunned, she wonders how he suddenly grew so much stronger when she was handling him just a moment ago. As his body tells him to flee, the hundred-eyes demon general turns and dashes away at incredible speed. He continues his desperate escape, leaving a trail of green energy behind him. Refusing to let him escape, Manhwa gives chase, relentlessly clinging to his trail. The general reasons that if the Namgung truly suspected the seven beauties, they'd have sent more than just one warrior. He resolves to subdue her quickly before the Namgung Clan elders can arrive with reinforcements. With renewed resolve, Manhwa surges forward to finish the fight and take him down. Wukong watches from above as the two combatants clash in a high-speed aerial battle. Tisk, Wukong criticizes the Law Hall Master's fighting style, calling her pathetic for being pushed back. From a cliff top under the moonlight, Wukong issues a simple command: drop your sword. Manhwa looks up in surprise, realizing Master Sun has followed her to the battlefield. The chaotic clash of green and blue energy continues between the two fighters. The Hundred-Eyes Demon General channels his power, desperately trying to fend her off. Wukong repeats his command, asking why she is so attached to her sword, as Manhwa bites her lip, knowing that dropping a weapon is an act against a warrior's pride. As a proud member of the Namgung Clan, Manhwa has never once dropped or abandoned her sword in battle. But trusting that Sun Wukong has a good reason, she feels compelled to follow the voice echoing in her head. With steely resolve, Manhwa decides to drop her sword. She lets her weapon fall, just as the Hundred-Eyes Demon General unleashes another devastating energy blast. Stunned by her unexpected move, the Hundred-Eyes Demon General's stance falters for a crucial instant. Wukong seizes the opportunity, pouring a barrage of voice transmissions directly into Manhwa's mind. Now unarmed, Manhwa rushes forward to engage the general in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The two clash in a blinding flurry of close-quarter strikes. The Hundred-Eyes Demon General grunts, taken aback by her sudden change in tactics. Wukong gives precise instructions, telling her how to move, strike, and counter the general's longsword. Following his commands, Manhwa seamlessly dodges and counters the general's furious attacks. Stunned by her own reflexes, Manhwa wonders what is happening to her. The general can't believe her supplementary hand-to-hand combat skills have improved so dramatically as she lands a clean punch. A powerful kick sends the Hundred-Eyes Demon General reeling backward from the explosive impact. As they tumble through the air, she finds the entire situation bizarrely intuitive. Manhwa marvels that these movements, which she has never practiced, fit her body with impossible flexibility. Her body moves on its own, unleashing a fluid, acrobatic assault. She lands squarely on her opponent, driving him into the ground with a powerful stomp. "Oh!" the Hundred-Eyes Demon General cries out in pain and shock. Manhwa brings her heel down in a devastating axe kick to his head. As her power awakens, Manhwa begins to see shimmering glimpses of a past life. Wukong watches with a smirk, confirming that this is exactly what he had expected. A warm, familiar voice echoes from the past, saying, "It's been a long time, my brother." The glowing vision reveals her past self, Zubaji, much to Manhwa's current life confusion. Buried up to his neck, Zubaji cries, asking Brother Sun why he was reincarnated like this. Back at the campsite, the real Zubaji defensively insists he was only momentarily fooled by the demon's tricks. Baji tries to deflect blame onto the monk, but Wukong argues that a mere human could never overcome a demon's magic. Zubaji passionately argues that his desires for food and women are natural and shouldn't be suppressed. As Baji yells about a man's natural desires, the monk explains Wukong feels no such lust because he was born from stone. Crying with pity, Zubaji looks at Wukong and laments his pitiful, desire-free life. "Kya!" Wukong angrily holds the bound Baji upside down, retorting it's better than being a slave to his urges. The monk calmly agrees with Baji, much to Wukong's surprise. He muses that if he were to be reborn, he would want to be a beautiful woman. He vows to become the world's greatest beauty, conquer a powerful demon, and make Wukong wait for him. A devious glint appears in Baji's eye at the thought of being reincarnated as a beauty. Wukong can only sigh in weary exasperation. The vision of Zubaji's past life fades, as Manhwa's fighting spirit burns brighter. The Hundred-Eyes Demon General faces his new opponent, finding her strange fighting style deeply unsettling. The relentless hand-to-hand battle continues, with Manhwa overwhelming her foe. The general prepares to unleash a secret technique, the thousand-eyed white gaze. This powerful art allows him to spread his senses in every direction, perceiving everything around him. The general's eyes glow with green energy as he activates his omnidirectional senses. His enhanced perception reveals the truth. Wukong is the reason for her sudden change in power. He realizes with the start that this interfering presence matches the description of the great sage equal to heaven. Mua presses her attack, completely unaware that her secret ally has been discovered. The general grimaces, shocked that a second, hidden opponent has been manipulating the fight. Suddenly, Mua feels a creeping numbness, realizing with horror that his weapon must have been coated with poison. The general explains his colorless, odorless poison activates with inner power, telling her to just collapse now that it's too late. He lunges forward, confident that the poison has crippled her. The general gasps in utter disbelief, wondering how she is still standing. Boom! Wukong unleashes a devastating blow, sending the Hundred Eyes Demon General flying. The Hundred Eyes Demon General cries out as he's blasted backward by Wukong's attack. Checking on the unconscious Manhwa, Wukong presses her acupoints, noting the general is as underhanded with poison now as in the past. The general channels sinister green energy, summoning a demonic visage as he prepares to strike again. Wukong glares back, his expression hardening with annoyance. His eye glowing with power, the Hundred Eyes Demon General snarls that he will tear Wukong apart. The general raises his glowing sword, ready to attack Wukong as he guards the fallen Manhwa. Charging fiery energy in his hand, Wukong declares he will finish this quickly. Wukong's hair flies as he erupts with immense golden power. Stunned, the Hundred Eyes Demon General realizes Wukong is somehow blocking his power. Wukong briefly considers escaping with Manhwa to get away from the fight. The battle rages as Wukong clashes with both the general and the nine-brain old master. Wukong expertly fends off the two demon leaders in a blinding flurry of strikes. Disgusted by their sinister energy, Wukong prepares to unleash his own power. Wukong lands a crushing, fiery punch directly on the Hundred Eyes Demon General's jaw. The general reels from the force of the blow, his body twisting in midair. Wukong focuses his power, his fist glowing with concentrated orange energy. He unleashes a massive, explosive punch, completely engulfing his foe. A narration explains his technique is a martial art that devours demons using their own power. The powerful technique is revealed, the demon destruction technique. The Hundred Eyes Demon General stares in terror as he is consumed by the golden flames. Wukong's devastating attack completely overwhelms the general. In his final moments, the general wonders if this is the powerful being his great king spoke of. He finally recognizes his opponent as the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. Wukong stands impassively, his golden eyes glowing with divine power. He remembers Wu Jing's lessons on using acupoints and inner power to neutralize poison. But Wukong realizes he only has demon power and questions if a human body can even handle it. Knowing she will die otherwise, he decides he has no choice and gathers his energy. He reasons that she will die from the poison anyway, and he can simply take his power back if something goes wrong. With focused determination, Sun Wukong begins to carefully infuse his demon power into Manhwa. He reflects that if she were an ordinary human, he would let fate take its course. But this is different. She is the reincarnation of his brother, Jubaji. Relieved to see warmth return to her face, Wukong knows they must hurry to the Namgung Clan for proper treatment. Mustached elder from the Namgung Clan arrives, declaring they need to return to the clan. As she regains consciousness, Manhwa wonders what happened to her. Wukong remains silent, his expression grim. The mustached elder sternly demands that Wukong tell him everything. He asks if Wukong is responsible for the current situation. Wukong bows his head, acknowledging the elder's authority. The elder points at him accusingly. Thud! He throws the severed head of the nine-brain old master at Wukong's feet. The elder confirms Wukong's suspicions were correct and says he was right to follow the urgently flying white owl. Looking at the owl, the elder realizes the situation must have been dire. He looks over the corpse of the Hundred Eyes Demon General, realizing something very unusual must have occurred so close to their home. The elder kneels by Manhwa, gravely concluding that something extraordinary has been happening. Wukong carries the general's body as the elder carries Manhwa, agreeing to go to the main house for treatment. The two warriors leap into the night sky, speeding toward the Namgung Clan estate. Later, in a quiet room, Manhwa awakens from her ordeal. Wukong watches over her, gently telling her that she's finally awake. Touching her forehead, Manhwa feels a strange, foreign energy inside her and wonders if she has been poisoned. Wukong reassures the recovering Muwa that the centipede poison is gone, admitting he was worried for her all night. Manhwa asks why Master Sun cared for her, and he explains it's natural for an older brother to care for his younger brother. Blushing, Muwa misinterprets his words and timidly asks if that would be okay. Her mind races to thoughts of marriage before she catches herself in embarrassment, leaving a clueless Wukong behind her. As her imagination runs wild, Muwa's entire body trembles with nervous excitement. In her fantasy, a muscular Wukong looms over her in bed, anticipating their first night. Fantasy Wukong grits his teeth, passionately declaring how long he's waited for this moment. A blushing fantasy Muwa shyly thinks of him as her husband. Back in reality, Muwa hides her blushing face, mortified, while Wukong looks on in confusion. The scene shifts to the Namgung Clan estate on the following day. Despite the previous night's battle, the Namgung Clan elders decide to proceed with the Dragon Phoenix meeting. The mustached elder reports that the Huangbo clan's assassination attempt gives them leverage, and he asks for their reaction. Another elder confirms the Huangbo clan was flustered and denied everything, but their denials are irrelevant. The mustached elder declares they now hold the Huangbo clan's weakness and can ruin their reputation at will. In Namgung Jinbaek's quarters, he thanks Master Sun, who humbly says he only did what was needed. Jinbaek asks about the captured old man and the 7 beauties, and Wukong states he'll handle their interrogation personally. Wukong inwardly considers if the leverage they gained is the true reward from the Dragon Phoenix meeting. Namgung Jinbaek announces their next objective, the Azure Dragon emergence. When Wukong asks for details, Jinbaek explains it's an old event that hasn't been held for 2 decades. An explanation reveals the Azure Dragon emergence is a trial for the heir and young clan members. By overcoming challenges together, they prove their qualifications for the heir to become the next clan leader. Jinbaek sighs, stressed by the thought of preparing for the sparring tournament and the Azure Dragon emergence. Wukong silently judges the clan leader, thinking that humans are ultimately still just humans. As he pours tea, Wukong muses that human hands are too small to hold everything they desire. He concludes that greed causes everything to slip away, a realization that dawns on Jinbaek as well. Wukong thinks to himself that managing one's greed is the only way to protect it. Wukong dismisses the importance of the sparring tournament, noting the main combatants have already fought. He proposes using the younger generation of all 5 great clans to participate in the Azure Dragon emergence. Wukong suggests this would position their heir not just as the leader of the Namgung, but of all 5 clans. Namgung Jinbaek's eyes widen, stunned by the grand scope of Wukong's ambition. Later, Wukong and Muwa take a peaceful walk on the clan grounds. Wukong turns to the Law Hall Master, asking how she is feeling after her recovery. Fully recovered, Muwa looks radiant and refreshed as she walks through the garden. She pauses for a moment, lost in quiet thought. Wukong comments that she looks so different from her past life as Zhubaji that he can't get used to it. A memory of Zhubaji's devious past self flashes, recalling his vow to be reborn as a beauty. The memory completes his vow to wrap Wukong around his little finger. Wukong gives Muhwa a deadpan look, clearly unimpressed by the memory of his brother's scheme. Confused, Muhwa asks Wukong what he just said, but he tries to brush it off as unimportant. Still flustered from their earlier brother conversation, Muhwa can't shake her embarrassment. Wukong changes the subject, informing her that he has finished his discussion with the clan leader. He explains the Namgung clan's deep desire to unite the 5 great clans against their rivals, the Martial Arts Alliance. Wukong notes the disparity. The alliance has 10 united sects while the 5 clans are fractured. Muhwa listens intently and agrees with his assessment. Wukong declares that just as Shaolin and Wudang lead the alliance, the Namgung clan must lead the 5 great clans. Impressed, Muhwa praises Master Sun's strategy for neutralizing the Huangbo clan and combining the clan events. Wukong explains the Azure Dragon emergence was meant to build unity among the heir and the next generation. By including the other clans, he argues, they can set a powerful new precedent for the event. He states that if the Namgung establish dominance, this joint event will become a natural tradition. Looking at him with admiration, Muhwa listens as Wukong tells her this is their future task. Muhwa blushes slightly, her admiration for Wukong growing. Wukong looks on with a serious, thoughtful expression. He turns to her in surprise, questioning her use of the word our. Flustered, Muwa thinks to herself that Wukong is handsome enough to be her husband. Wukong raises the issue of getting the other clans to participate, and Muwa accidentally calls him husband before correcting herself to Master Sun. Stepping forward confidently, Muwa declares she can handle this matter herself. Elsewhere, a woman from another clan wonders if others will participate in the Azure Dragon departure ceremony. The woman is identified as Zhuge Seoseo of the Zhuge clan, pondering the opportunity being offered. Zhuge Seoseo notes that Huang Boyong is unusually absent and wonders if something happened overnight. She realizes the Namgung clan is openly declaring their ambition to lead the 5 great clans. A smirking man asks if the situation is disappointing, as another person recalls the event with terror. A memory flashes of a past debate where Zhuge Seoseo calmed her mind. Zhuge Seoseo composes herself, having reached a decision. Representatives from the Tang clan arrive, announcing they will also participate in the ceremony. The young man is identified as Tang Sanzang of the Sichuan Tang clan, recognizing this as a rare opportunity. Peng Jiaokan of the Hebei clan announces they will participate only if the Huangbo clan does first. He reasons that if the Huangbo clan accepts, it's a sign of submission, forcing the Peng clan to align with Namgung. Huang Boyong of the Huangbo clan is shocked to learn that the Zhuge and Tang clans are participating. Wukong advises Huang Boyong that one must bend like a reed to survive. Muhua pointedly asks if the Huangbo clan really used assassins to attack a Namgung member. Huang Boyong remains defiant, believing his clan is the one destined to take the lead. Wukong notes that Huangbo is a future leader, while the Namgung have few young prospects, making Huangbo ask what his point is. Wukong confronts him with the rumor of the assassination attempt, asking if he'll fight the Namgung over it. Wukong suggests the clan will find a scapegoat, and a stunned Huang Boyong asks if he's expected to take the fall. Wukong ruthlessly suggests he sacrifice his skilled younger brothers to save himself. Huang Boyong sweats, horrified at the thought of sacrificing his own family to secure his future. Wukong waits impassively for Huang Boyong's decision. Defeated, Huang Boyong announces that he will participate in the departure ceremony. Wukong and Muhua watch as the dejected Huang Boyong walks away. Wukong walks with Muhua, commenting on how brutal yet skillful her political maneuvering was. He praises her use of threats and persuasion, saying it makes him doubt she is the foolish Zhubajie he remembers. Wukong leans in close, telling a blushing Muhua that her future husband will be a very reliable man. Holding her face, Wukong is reminded of a past event when he doubted Sanzang. A flashback shows a bored Wukong, pig-like Baji, and stoic Wujing learning from Sanzang. Their master, Sanzang, explains that while not Buddhas, they can at least mimic their words. Back in the present, Wukong tells Muhua to rest while he goes elsewhere, and she thanks him. Muhua watches him leave, her cheeks still flushed with emotion. The scene shifts to the heavily guarded inner garden of the Namgung clan. Wukong descends into the foreboding thunder prison of the Namgung clan. He stands before a prisoner, ready to interrogate him about their shared past and present. The captive, a defiant and battered old man, glares up from his chains. Wukong confirms he is here to torment the prisoner, who scoffs that he has already lost everything as a warrior. The old man vows to settle their score in the afterlife, expecting Wukong to be there soon. Wukong muses that this prisoner's resolve is different from the demons or assassins he's faced before. The prisoner boasts that Wukong will get nothing from him or his men, claiming he is sealed by a prohibition spell. He challenges Wukong to do his worst, but Wukong surprises him by saying he has no intention of listening. Grabbing the man's head, Wukong declares he won't waste time on foolish hope, calling him a mere test subject. Wukong smirks, his hand glowing with power as he prepares to solve the puzzle of the prisoner's mind. As Wukong's power surges, the old man screams in agony. Pain-filled cries echo through the dark prison corridor as the interrogation begins. The next morning at the Namgung clan, the atmosphere shifts as all the late bloomers agree to join the Azure Dragon departure ceremony. Partying ceases as everyone, like this fan-wielding warrior, throws themselves into intense training for the upcoming event. With family honor on the line, a green-clad swordsman and his clan members train relentlessly, knowing disgrace is not an option. Determined not to be humiliated by falling behind, a young warrior with claw-like gauntlets hones his skills. As skilled warriors in their own right, failure in the ceremony is unthinkable, and they pour all their effort into training. While everyone trains diligently, Wukong lazily rests on a large rock, observed by a man and a young girl. Annoyed at being disturbed, Wukong asks what they want. An orange-haired girl with intense eyes steps forward, boldly demanding, "Spar with me." Exasperated, Wukong complains about her persistence. But the girl, Namgung Clan, vows she won't lose so easily this time. Wukong sighs as another warrior, a man with a dark ponytail, approaches him as well. The man respectfully asks Teacher Sun for instruction before the Azure Dragon departure ceremony. Wukong dismissively tells them both to get lost and ask the clan's lord or elders for help instead. The man and Namgung Clan explain that getting instruction from the seniors managing the event could be seen as an unfair advantage. The man concludes that since Teacher Sun is an outside guest, training with him would be politically acceptable. Wukong sits up, deciding to focus on one person at a time to avoid the headache of guessing who might be Sanzang. Leaping down, Wukong agrees to spar with the man first, addressing him as Namgung Muyang, while Namgung Clan protests. Wukong points to a nearby, rugged-looking man, telling Clan to go spar with the ugly guy, leaving the man stunned. When the man asks where the ugly guy is, Wukong bluntly informs him that he is, in fact, the only one there. Appalled, the man can't believe he's being called ugly, and Namgung Clan adamantly refuses to spar with him. Wukong bribes Clan, promising to spar with her often if she cooperates, and she reluctantly agrees. "Fetch!" Wukong commands, sending Clan off to spar, finally turning his attention to Namgung Muyang. Muyang is thrilled, remembering Wukong's overwhelming skill and feeling eager to receive his guidance. Wukong watches him with a slight, knowing smirk. Wukong challenges Muyang to show him the limitless sky sword technique they both witnessed before. Stunned, Muyang recalls the devastating power of the technique, shocked that Wukong wants to see it again. Muyang doubts he can perform it after seeing it once, but Wukong presses him, saying he must stop hiding things to learn. Wukong questions his confidence, and a provoked Muyang calms himself, preparing to try. Focusing his will, Muyang summons a glowing blue sword, reciting a mantra about unwavering resolve. He proudly introduces himself as Namgung Muyang, a member of the Namgung Clan. With a vision of his clan's lord in mind, Muyang vows to follow in his footsteps. He gathers his clan's unique blue energy, preparing to unleash the formidable technique. As Muyang lunges forward in a blur of motion, Wukong thinks to himself that things are finally getting interesting. The two warriors clash in a blinding flurry of powerful strikes. Wukong's fiery blade meets Muyang's icy sword in a spectacular display of power. Muyang is shocked as he recognizes a familiar, overwhelming pressure from Wukong's attack. Wukong smirks, his hand glowing with fiery energy as he prepares to counter. He effortlessly stops Muyang's sword with his bare hand, sending the younger warrior flying. Using afterimages, Wukong masterfully dodges and parries Muyang's barrage of attacks. Wukong inwardly analyzes Muyang's fighting style during their intense clash. He concludes that Muyang is too bound by the basics and lacks a true obsession with the sword. Wukong realizes Muyang is subconsciously holding back, his conservative nature showing in his swordsmanship. Scolding him, Wukong demands he stop holding back and hiding his true power if he genuinely wants to learn. Muyang grits his teeth, taking his teacher's harsh words to heart. He unleashes a more fluid and powerful series of strikes, finally letting go of his inhibitions. Yeah, just like that. Wukong grins, encouraging him to put more sincerity into his attacks. Muyang prepares to pour everything he has into his next move, heeding Wukong's command. He surges forward, his movements embodying the clan's philosophy that all rivers return to one source. As they clash again, Muyang understands that all martial paths ultimately lead to the same end. He envisions the ultimate goal. The Namgung Clan's martial arts exist to complete the Emperor's sword form. As their swords meet, Wukong recognizes that this dedicated pursuit is the completion of the Namgung Clan's martial path. The narration marks this as the beginning of the limitless sky sword, as Namgung Muyang and Wukong face off. Muyang recalls Wukong's words, vowing to show his imitation of the technique without hesitation. Gathering a torrent of blue energy, Muyang prepares to unleash his sword style. He unleashes the Namgung Muyang style, a massive wave of energy, proclaiming a sword can even slice the sky. His eyes gleam with focus as he executes the limitless sky sword technique. The powerful attack descends like a crushing wave from above. Wukong stands calmly amidst the chaos, a small flame glowing on his hand, Muyang explains the limitless sky sword is a net-like strike that cannot be evaded. The attack appears to engulf Wukong, seemingly leaving him no room to escape. Wukong effortlessly floats upward, evading the massive sword net. Arms crossed, Wukong watches calmly from above as Muyang's attack misses completely. As the energy dissipates, the narration confirms Sun Wukong easily dodged the attack. Wukong gazes down, looking like a being far above the heavens. The powerful attack shatters harmlessly on the ground below him. Wukong criticizes the attack for having too many holes, but praises Muyang's decent mimicry. Muyang silently accepts the harsh but accurate assessment of his skills. Wukong places a hand on his shoulder, advising him to fix the weaknesses he just exposed. Stunned, Muyang realizes how hard it is to recognize one's own weaknesses. He understands that such flaws can only be seen from another's perspective. Muyang reflects that only a compassionate master at a high level can offer such a lesson. He thanks Wukong, who explains the spar was mutually beneficial. Confused, Muyang wonders what a master like Teacher Sun could have possibly gained. Wukong inwardly recalls that Namgung Jinbaek's limitless sky sword was too perfect to understand. Because it was flawless, he couldn't grasp the concept of the sky it represented. Wukong concludes that comparing the perfect version to Muyang's flawed attempt finally made the concept clear. He reflects on his own Myoleo technique, which combines the turtle's precision and the viper's viciousness. With newfound understanding, Wukong decides it's time to implant the Namgung's sky into his own methods. Having finished with Muyang, Wukong turns his attention to the next sparring match. He watches as Ojong and Namgung Seowol clash in a fierce duel. As they fight, Ojong muses that life keeps surprising him with new experiences. Ojong and Seowol engage in a rapid exchange of powerful sword strikes. Seowol unleashes a focused blast of energy from her sword. She fluidly spins around Ojong's guard to land a strike. Ojong redirects her attack with an acrobatic counter-move. Their blades clash again, their movements a blur of action and energy. Ojong analyzes Seowol's bizarre movements, realizing they aren't those of a trained master. He notes her techniques feel awkward and incomplete, yet somehow still flow together. Noticing her strange breathing, he has a sudden, dawning realization. He wonders if she is fighting purely on instinct, handling her energy through sensation alone. His grip tightens on his sword as he processes this new information. The two warriors clash again in a burst of sparks and energy. Ojong feels a strange, tingling sensation awaken deep within his chest. He recalls his youthful dream of becoming a great warrior and his vow to avenge his slain villagers. Wukong notices the change, asking if he's excited, and Ojong confirms that he is. Ojong takes a deep, centering breath, preparing for his next move. He reflects that meeting the great hero has reignited a fire within him. A powerful blue aura erupts from his body as he channels his energy. He feels his buried emotions resurface as a small flame of longing. Ojong unleashes his ultimate technique, the submerged eternal turtle strike slash. Grinning with savage joy, Ojong declares, "I feel great." Ojong leaps into the air, bringing his glowing sword down on Namgung Seowol. He rushes forward with incredible speed, leaving a trail of blue energy in his wake. He reflects that this is the highest level technique he can currently use. Ojong finds Seowol's small stature and low attacks unfamiliar, making her surprisingly difficult to fight. He notes this spar isn't as good as his fight with Wukong, but wonders if she has improved after his teachings. Stealing his resolve, he believes this practice will help him hold his own against the Namgung Clan. Clash, Ojong deflects a powerful strike from Namgung Seowol. Their blades meet again in a bright flash of energy. The two warriors trade blows in a rapid, clanging exchange. Seowol inwardly calls Ojong a strange person, realizing he closes his eyes in the middle of a fight. He's taken aback, having never faced an opponent who closes their eyes while fighting. Their swords lock once more, the impact sending sparks flying. Ojong is knocked off balance by Seowol's aggressive assault. He slams a hand to the ground, steadying himself with fierce determination. In a burst of agility, he launches himself into a handstand kick. Seowol is momentarily stunned by his acrobatic counterattack. Ojong believes that no matter how skilled, it's hard for any master to respond while in midair. He unleashes a series of afterimage strikes, pressing his aerial advantage. Sewell is sent flying back from the force of his powerful, multi-hit attack. He looks up in shock, amazed that she managed to dodge his attack while airborne. He acknowledges her incredible skill, recognizing her as truly the Sword Lord's daughter. They land and immediately re-engage, their movements a chaotic blur of blue energy. Sewell thinks that no matter the power method, he can't hold his breath forever. Ojong senses an opening, vowing to strike the moment her breathing is disrupted. Seeing his chance, he lunges forward to attack her. Now, a sly grin spreads across Seow's face as she anticipates his move. Ojong recoils, clutching a painful burning sensation on his chest. Realizing he wasn't cut, he understands with a grim, "I see." She recalls that he went easy on her once before, during their sparring. Instead of cutting her, he had simply struck her with his palm. With a wicked smile, Sewell thinks to herself that he won't go easy a second time. "Here I come," she yells, lunging forward for another round. Gritting his teeth, Ojong sweats, knowing he can't hold out any longer. With Sewell's sword at his neck, he concedes defeat. She tells him that was more than enough. Sewell turns to see Wukong and Namgung Muyang approaching. Ojong smiles and scratches his head, happy with the outcome of their spar. Wukong tells a satisfied Ojong that he has someone to spar with after all. Namgung Sewell turns away with a grumpy HMPH. A montage shows the warriors continuing their intense sparring matches. Holding her sword, a determined Namgung Sewell demands one more time later. Ojong smiles, understanding her desire for another match. Wukong instructs everyone to review what they've learned before they start sparring again. And so Wukong begins, as the trio of students look on with dread. The grueling training regimen continued for several days. They endured about 10 sparring matches a day, followed by intense reflection. The scene shifts to the bustling downtown streets of Anhui province. As they walk, a bystander asks Wukong where he's going, and he replies he's ordering a weapon from the Yanga Iron Workshop. The crowd murmurs that it must be a staff like the legendary Ruyi Jingu Bang. Ojong, sweat drops, amused that Wukong is still maintaining his persona, while Wukong confirms, yes, the Ruyi Jingu Bang. Wukong explains he needs a steel staff because he doesn't have the real Ruyi Jingu Bang. When Ojong asks what happened to it, Wukong casually replies, "I threw it away," leaving Ojong stunned. Wukong uses an analogy, asking Ojong to imagine finding a rare, amazing, one-of-a-kind item. As the crowd listens, Ojong confusedly repeats, "Admiration-inducing?" Wukong clarifies the item is an erotic book, leaving a flustered Ojong to wonder about the sudden topic change. Wukong asks what Ojong would do with it, and a blushing Ojong admits he'd have fun. Wukong then asks how he'd feel after. Ojong confesses he feels empty, like a sage who has attained enlightenment, and Wukong confirms this is the feeling he's talking about. Wukong explains that after the deed is done, the book feels dirty and disgusting, which is why he threw it away. Grinning, Wukong asks if Ojong now understands why he threw away the Ruyi Jingu Bang. Ojong stands silently for a moment before stating that he understands. He then declares that Wukong must be a total pervert to use such an analogy, implying he looks at those books all the time. Time passes, and the day of the Azure Dragon emergence dawns upon the Namgung Clan estate. The younger generation of warriors march forward in a procession, each filled with their own resolve. They head toward Wolong Mountain, the testing ground for the Azure Dragon emergence. A woman named Manhwa and a man watch them go, the man expressing his confidence in Muyang and Sewell's skills. A blue energy dragon swirls. As the narration explains, the Azure Dragon emergence is a test to climb Wolong Mountain. The test consists of 9 checkpoints filled with intricate traps, each guarded by Namgung Clan elders. The elders are depicted as intimidating, shadowy figures with glowing blue eyes. The clan lord tells Manhwa that the examiners are formidable warriors, and Muyang must satisfy them to be recognized as a future leader. He reflects that this test is but a small stumbling block compared to the great burden of leadership. Manhwa agrees they must trust the children, noting their skills have improved, especially since Master Sun began watching over them. A flashback shows the clan lord observing Wukong, and a small, quiet girl in a hallway. Addressing Manhwa as the Law Hall Master, the clan lord instructs her to firmly capture Master Sun's heart. Flustered and blushing, a stunned Manhwa asks him to repeat what he said. Regaining her composure, she bows her head and says she understands. Manhwa runs off, vowing to do her best, as the Lord muses that Wukong would be a great help to Seowol and Muyong. The Lord believes the clever Muwa understood his true meaning, and notes that Wukong has gone to where the 7 beauties of Shandong are held. The scene shifts to Wukong facing the 7 beauties of Shandong, led by a seductive, red-haired woman with horns. Wukong cracks his knuckles, preparing himself for what's to come. The clan lord's thoughts continue, expressing his worry that Wukong is, after all, a proper man, as Wukong stands, shirtless, radiating power. An elder waits outside, recalling Wukong's strange order not to touch the women, and concludes he knows what was planned. Gritting his teeth, the elder marvels at Wukong's stamina, wondering how he could last for several hours alone. He stares in awe as Wukong's boots step out of the room. The elder's face contorts in absolute shock and disbelief. Inside, the 7 women lie passed out on the floor. A caption reveals they are all completely out of their minds. The women are scattered across the floor in deep slumber. Wukong stands triumphantly over the unconscious women, hailed as an incredible man. The elder asks if he's finished, and Wukong confirms it went well before the elder questions his timing during a clan event. Wukong explains he must maintain the appearance of visiting courtesans, as many people are watching his movements. He holds up a wooden training dummy, saying it's time to practice breaking restraints. Wukong reflects that spending hours practicing on the wooden device was helpful. Thanks to his practice, all the restraints on the 7 beauties of Shandong have been removed. The red-haired leader reminds Wukong to keep his promise to protect them in exchange for their cooperation. Wukong stands before the 7 kneeling women. He scoffs, asking if the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong, would ever say one thing and do another. Wukong turns to the elder, the tiger family leader, announcing they need a separate talk as the elder realizes his time to be useful has come. The tiger family leader stares intently, understanding Wukong is finally planning to give him work. He erupts in fury, realizing Wukong wants him to compete with the Howgate for information and force them out of Anhui. Wukong calmly sits at a table, acknowledging that the elder now understands the plan. The stunned tiger family leader asks Wukong if he's crazy. His plan centers on the Howgate, a massive sect formed by countless commoners. The tiger family leader strokes his beard, considering the plan. While unreasonable, he sees a path forward. Wukong reveals the core of his plan: unify all the Black Path practitioners of Anhui province. He explains that since the Blue Heroes Guild incident, all other Black Path factions have already collapsed. The elder shouts that Wukong himself caused that collapse, flashing back to Wukong's destructive power. Wukong smirks, confident that unifying the now fragmented Anhui Black Path won't be difficult. He assures the elder that Sun Wukong will provide help, either directly or indirectly, should problems arise. The tiger family leader realizes this is an incredible opportunity to forge a powerful information network. Wukong gives his first order: renovate the fragrant pavilion and turn it into a pleasure house. Wukong confirms his plan is to build an information network centered on the 7 beauties of Shandong. He elaborates that they will educate courtesans to open hearts and make people spill their secrets. The tiger family leader stares, awestruck by the sheer audacity and brilliance of the plan. His business concluded, Wukong walks away down the long steps of the estate. Inwardly, Wukong muses that since he doesn't fully trust the tiger family leader, he will hand management to Sha Wujing later. The scene shifts to a large vessel sailing across a churning sea under a bright, cloudy sky. They arrive at a bustling port city, identified as the trade hub of Wuhan in Hubei province. Their destination is the grand and imposing Nanhei Escort Agency. 2 men discuss the rumors of the great sage's appearance, with one confirming their king ordered them to hide and observe. A white-robed elder departs, stating that the gift for the great king is not yet complete. A stern-faced man tells a companion named Baeka that treasures like the 7-star sword are meaningless without being alive to claim them. The white-robed elder suggests that while they live, they should seek the fragments of the 7-star sword. Baeka dismisses him with a gruff, "Do as you please," and the elder walks away. Thump! The white-robed elder pauses, looking up in quiet contemplation. He gazes upon a colorful mural depicting legendary figures in battle. His eyes fix on the painted figure of the great sage equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. The elder recalls a time when he and 6 others became sworn brothers. He reminisces about the 7 great sages, sadly missing the days they lived happily together. The scene shifts back to Wukong as he arrives at the main gate of the Yanked Iron Workshop. A man from the Namgung Clan greets him with a surprised look. The man asks why Master Sun is there, offering to bring the weapon to him, but Wukong states he came to pick it up. With a determined gaze, Wukong states this is something he had to retrieve himself. Inside, a team of blacksmiths struggles to haul a massive, long wooden crate. The head blacksmith apologizes for the delay, explaining Wukong's frequent interferences and the sheer amount of steel made it a difficult first-time project. The young Namgung Clan member stares in disbelief, stammering, "WH, what is that?" "That's just..." Wukong effortlessly lifts the massive, heavy steel staff, balancing it on his shoulder with ease. The young man marvels, realizing Wukong is truly a great master, whose inner power allows him to swing heavy things lightly. A nostalgic grin spreads across Wukong's face as he says it reminds him of the old days. He casually practices with the gigantic staff, moving in a powerful, fluid blur. Wukong gives a final swing, musing that he'll have to be satisfied with this iron club for now. Whoosh! He swings the club with incredible force, stirring up a storm of dirt and pebbles. The young man watches in horror, realizing that a direct hit from the weapon would shatter bones, even through protective energy. Wukong stands with his new weapon, acknowledging it is truly a vicious one. He calmly slings the massive staff onto a strap on his back. With a smile, Wukong thanks the blacksmiths for their hard work and prepares to depart. As Wukong walks through the courtyard, a small white owl swoops down toward him. The owl lands on Wukong's outstretched arm, urgently calling his name and warning of big trouble. The panicked owl reports that something strange is happening at Wolong Mountain, where the young generation is taking their tests. Wukong dismisses the concern, confident that Namgung Jingbei's presence is enough to handle any demons. But the owl insists, shouting that a spiritual reaction has appeared, an energy so immense it can't be measured. Wukong's nonchalant expression finally hardens with concern. Whoosh! Realizing the spiritual energy is too powerful for even a land god to handle, Wukong prepares to act. He declares he has no choice but to move, leaping into the sky and rocketing toward the disturbance. Meanwhile, at the Wolong Mountain entrance, a man runs through the waiting area in a panic. Having arrived, Wukong is asked if he has discovered anything about the situation. He reviews the clan's records, realizing there's no known formation or mechanism that could cause this, meaning it's a unique anomaly. Muyong looks on with grave concern, understanding why everyone is so surprised. Wukong and a clan elder stare up at Wolong Mountain, which is now completely covered by a thick, unnatural fog. With a grim expression, Wukong concludes this phenomenon is not something humans could create,